Hey, folks, welcome to the program. I am your host, Scotty Roberts. This is my show. This is not the show yet, though. This is the first 3 minutes is just our pre-show, building up to when we go live over on the YouTube channel and over on the radio station. We're live on the YouTube channel right now. Looking for something I misplaced that I laid down here. Has nothing to do with the show. Oh, there it is. Bag for tarot cards. So I was doing some cards of the day over at TikTok. So you can go look up my TikTok, tiktok.com/Scotty Roberts. I believe it's /Scotty Roberts. I got to double check that. And so long, and so I started using it. It was Rainey's idea. You should start doing your cards of the day over on TikTok. So we filmed some of those and got it going. So let's see where it is. TikTok is here somewhere, but I don't know where. So we're just getting ready for the show. We got about a minute and 45 seconds. We go live over on the radio station. That's OdysseyRadio.com, ODYSY radio.com. And you can see this show and it's live in its audio format. And there it is. Original sound, it says, bloody.
Hi, folks, I'm Scotty Roberts. I'm going to give you a tarot card of the day.
It's my TikTok. I'm just trying to figure out how to find out where I am. There it is. Boom. I don't want to watch it. I just want to look at it and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. So, inbox, friends, new followers, create. I don't know how I get to where I'm supposed to be on there. So, anyway, we're just killing a little time because it's the pre-show. Just making sure our sound system is good. Wow, that says I'm pretty hot. My sound is way up, I just noticed. There. When it's hot, it gets a little fuzzy. Loud and fuzzy. What? Doug, Grumpy Stack is here? Good to see you, Grumpy. We got about 10 seconds, folks, and we go live. So let me go dark. We'll be right back. Sit tight. Don't go away.
Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the program. I am Scotty Roberts, and this is my show, the Intrepid radio program, right here on Odyssey Radio, the subspace Odyssey Radio Network. And you can get there to hear this show in its audio format only over at Odyssey Radio, ODYSY radio.com. Or you can come on over to the simulcast over on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And you can join the chat room. We're over there right now. We've got Doug Stack. Grumpy Stack is here. Grumpy's Tires down in Louisiana. Good to see you. Field Guy is here from Louisiana. Look at that. We had two boys from Louisiana down here. Probably didn't sound anything like they do down in New Orleans, but Grumpy isn't from New Orleans. He's from Lake Charles, north of Lake Charles. And Field Guys from more in the outskirts of New Orleans. We got Steph Cuervo Queen is here. And who else we got in here early on? I thought there were some more people. JP, no, common sense is not so common these days, says Jason Patrick. And we're going to dig into common sense. I have said many times while doing commentary or talking about things, I said, if I was going to found a political party and run for president, it would be my own party. It would be the Common Sense Party. But maybe I've got to think of recreating that. Maybe it should be the critical thinking party or something of that nature. Because common sense, if you really look at it psychologically and by definition, maybe isn't necessarily always as common and as sensical as you might think it is, based on how it's constructed, what it's based on. And I saw in my research on this, I saw a lot of what are supposed to be pundits or psychologists or people who study human behavior that would keep talking about common sense in the term as being the conservatives will come across. And I started thinking, is everybody who's in psychology necessarily a liberal or a raging progressive or something? And it kind of bothered me, but to be plugged in that way. But we'll take a look at that, a good look at common sense. Field Guy says, I sold my common sense for $1. Well, there you go. It was worth something, huh? Hey, Kelly Belmoran, good to see you. And there's a couple of things that defy common sense to me. And can we even use that term? It's been tainted now for me. The more I looked at it, researched it, dug it out, tried to find out what it meant by definition, I'm wondering if I need to be using it anymore. But we can use it in a colloquial way and say, well, the vernacular, the colloquial, and say, well, common sense. That just means you're thinking right, right? But I look at some things that have happened in the news. I look at Ilhan Omar, Ilhan Omar, the House of Representative from Minnesota, my home state, and she is one of the squad, along with the AOC and Tlaib, and isn't there somebody else in that squad now too? But Ilhan Omar. And she's the one who was married to her brother, Somali. She's not natural born citizen. She's a citizen of the States, though, naturalized. She was married to her brother. They found out things like that in order to get in. And so, but she had a community in her district that voted her in because they had a large enough voting bloc with the Somali immigrants that had come over. And she is somebody that has made herself known as she is really pro-Gaza, pro-Palestinian. She's tried to talk her way through and around it because she's been questioned on, well, if you say you're pro-Palestinian, you're anti-Israel, how do you feel about the October 7th butchery that took place by Hamas? And she would not answer that question directly. And finally came out and said, well, I condemn the killing and blah, blah, blah. But now she is saying something. Yeah, don't get me started, Annette Keenan says over in the chat room on her. What did she come out in just the last couple of days? And she said she aligned herself with the new king of Somalia. And she said, our king. She's talking to her people, or our leader of our country. And people paused immediately, not just to nitpick on her, but definitely to ask, now, wait a minute, you're a congressperson in the United States Congress, elected by citizens of the United States, and you are showing allegiance to a foreign king. At the same time, you're calling Somalia your country, not my country of origin, or there wasn't a slip of tongue there. It was, or if the slip of tongue was there at all, it was her declaring that, well, that's her home country. That's my country, not the United States. If you're going to be in our Congress, should that not be the country of your first country? Is the country you serve? Or is she serving Somalia? This is a good question. It's a good question to ask. And we've seen her do other things like this. And so this is in the news today about her. The Somalia First thing. So these are alarming signs, I think. This, along with some other things that we see going on, alarming signs of a failing American empire. American empire. Empires faded for certain reasons. When the ruling elites believed the military's loyalty should be to the President of the United States, as Karine Jean-Pierre slipped, the White House press secretary, the other day, saying that these 3 soldiers who were killed, she couldn't even call them soldiers. She had to refer to them as, and she stammered around these 3, these folk who died. Folk who died? They were soldiers representing their country. And that's how she referred to them. So when you start seeing these kinds of things happen, the military's loyalty should be to the, and she mentioned, by the way, they died for this administration, she said. No, they didn't. They didn't necessarily even go out there to die for their country. They went to live for their country, to fight for their country, to give their lives for their country, and possibly even give their lives to the full extent of that definition. And 3 of them died. They didn't die for the current administration, but that's what she said. Slip of the tongue? No, I don't think so. So when the ruling elites believe that the military's loyalty has to be to the current president, and elected officials declare their primary loyalty to foreign nations, that indicates that this country innately could be in its late imperial hours. There's a certain gratification I get seeing them make these blunders, because people can see them for what they are. There is a deep-seated concern that our country is just going to be okay with that. Oh, it's just the way it is. Oh, well, we're all loyal to it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how far I want to get into this. There's an illustration I'm looking at here that says every gardener fights the constant battle against chaos. You ever gardened? I love to garden. We love putting in gardens. I like landscaping, making our yard look cool. And you garden along with the landscaping, but hard work has to be done when you do that, to construct planter beds, to pull weeds, generally repel the relentless forces of nature that seek to take back what the gardener has built. But if the garden is to persist, its owner has to transmit the importance of its maintenance from one generation of owner to the next. So without constant upkeep and renewal, a beautiful garden that's lasted maybe for centuries can be recaptured by nature in just a few years. And we've seen it. You let your yard go unmown for a whole summer, just 2.5 to 3 months. Tell me if you're going to be able to find the sidewalk or the driveway. It's going to be overgrown. Nature is a way of reclaiming itself. And so I think you can look at our country in that way. Empires that replace their own troops with recruits from foreign nations have a nasty history of being torn apart from the inside out. Nations and empires inevitably meet the same fate as the untended gardens of the world. Without a constant renewal of shared identity, these political orders quickly decay into a chaotic struggle of factional interests, which we are seeing right before our eyes. This will segue into common sense, because common sense would tell me that if you are a servant of this country, that this country would be your first loyalty. If you are fighting to serve this country, you are not fighting for the loyalty of a particular elected official or administration. These are just surface issues that have just come up in the last couple of days that illustrate this point. common sense would tell me that we should be able to look at all this and be able to weed out what is right and what is wrong. But then I'm finding out that common sense maybe isn't necessarily all it's cracked up to be. The United States is demonstrating all the classic signs of late imperial fatigue from history. Look at all the great civilizations and where they've gone. We're showing the classic signs of late imperial fatigue. And if the country cannot find the courage to forge a unified vision once again, it's going to be torn apart by the petty squabbles of a sick and dying civilization sputtering out its death rattle. While that might sound dramatic, I believe that's the truth. It's a bad sign. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on Monday attempted to express her condolences for the families of 3 American soldiers who were killed last week in the Middle East. And I say attempted because the woman could barely form a sentence, a skill that would generally be considered prerequisite for the position she holds as the White House spokesperson. And I've seen her do that more and more and more and more and more. She stammers. And it's the way she talks. Maybe we can pass on that. Give her a pass on that. She doesn't speak very well, but she was hired to be the speaker for the mouthpiece for the White House. That's a bad sign. While Pierre demonstrates this almost comical view of ineptitude, her buffoonery often has the positive effect of accidentally exposing what our ruling class really believes. While making her statement, Jean-Pierre said that the soldiers had died fighting on behalf of the administration. Is that what they died for? Did they die for the Biden administration? And recognizing her slip, with some additional stuttering, she quietly added, and the American people. But the truth was clear already. It was already done. She already messed it up. These are things that shows we are in the death spiral as a nation if we do not fix it. This was at the core, the common sense core of Trump when he first came into office, his Make America Great Again. Saying, make America great again was what he wanted us to do. That was what he wanted us to achieve. Yeah, Steph is right. She stammers because she's not quite as polished as a liar yet. She's a good one, meaning by good, I don't mean she's good at it. I mean, she's a good one by virtue of the fact that she does it over and over and over again, but she's not very polished at it, is she? I didn't see one of the military wife's response to KJP. Maybe I should look that up, huh? Military wife responds to KJP. Let's see. Biden officials slammed for saying soldiers died fighting for the administration. This military wife nails it, it says. In her response to KJP, it's a video, so I can't read that to you. I want to find this. She's slammed for claiming 3 U.S. soldiers died for the administration. Maybe this is it. This is over on X. No, it's a video again. Sorry. I'm looking for text of that, and I'm not finding it right off the top. Sorry about that, folks. But let's see if it's in. I'll look at one of these other things. If I don't see it, I'll move on. I mean, she's so. this administration does this over and over and over again, and yet they're not removed from office. They're not taken down. Maybe they're being taken down slowly but surely and effectively by the poll numbers for this current president continually dropping on a daily basis. There are very reputable poll numbers that aren't in the category of just, oh, that's just another poll, but showing that Trump currently 9 months out, which is a long time, 9 months out is ahead in every single swing state. He's far ahead of Joe Biden, which doesn't happen this early. Now, it just shows you I use that by way of illustrating what's happening as a result of all of this that we're seeing. I think common sense is kicking in for people. They're seeing that you can't lie to the country every day and continually. I see people saying the Biden administration is a winning administration for this country. All they do is win, win, win. And I'm like, are we living in the same time stream? But that's the lie. You state the lie and you keep restating it. I hear egregious lies being told. My common sense would tell me that we should all recognize that for what it is. And we should do something about it. But guess what? We don't. We as a nation, a collective, we aren't doing that. And sorry, I couldn't find the response. It's videos I keep pulling up. I'm not going to play a video. I was looking for text on the military wife's response. So sorry about that. But let's step back. I got to take a deep cleansing breath. Woosa. And look at the common sense that is neither common nor sense. Common sense isn't really common sense at all. And if it's not, what is it? So I say I like to operate by common sense. But how often is common sense correct? We have to ask ourselves. Common sense is neither common nor sense. Common sense, defined as sound judgment derived from experience rather than study, is one of the most revered qualities in America. It evokes images of earlier and simpler times. Well, son, that's just common sense. It's the way we did it. It's the right thing to do. Well, wasn't that Wilford Brimley who did the oatmeal guy for a long time? Quaker, the old guy with the big wide mustache, and he'd talk about Quaker oats. It's the right thing to do. It's common sense to eat your oats, kind of thing. Okay. Annette Keenan says neither frontrunner is a good candidate. Both are too old. While the vision of Make America Great Again is good and noble, the leadership needs to put action to their words. I can go along with that up to a certain extent. I know 80-year-olds that could do the job just fine. I think Trump could do the job just fine. People probably don't like Trump for other reasons. I don't think he's too old to do the job. I don't think Joe Biden is too old to do the job. I think Joe Biden is too, what's the word I'm looking for? A polite word, if you want to fill in the blanks for me. He is too declined in his cognitive bits and pieces, his cognitive nuts and bolts, his cognitive testicles, if you will, are too declined. They're too... He doesn't have it. Does Joe Biden, I'm going to ask you, does Joe Biden inspire you to follow his leadership? Does Donald Trump inspire you to follow his leadership? Are we too late in the game to switch that all out? Because for damn sure the Democrats are probably going to pull Joe Biden before the election and replace him with somebody else. They're talking Michelle Obama, who may or may not be a tough person for Trump to defeat because of the charisma of Obama with the left. Yeah, that is one way to put it, JP. He says, so most people aren't skeptical enough to have common sense, says Randall Flagg over in the chat room. Agreed. But Annette, when it comes down to it, when it really matters where your vote goes, and I hate to do this, when it really matters, would you vote for Trump to prevent Biden from having a second term? If you knew that if you voted for somebody else, Biden would be almost guaranteed a second term. I think Trump is by far the lesser of two evils. I think Trump has his wits about him. I think he knows what he's doing. He's 78 years old. I hope to God in 16 years, I still have my marbles. 15 years. Trump's only 15 years older than I am. Of course, when he was 63, my age, he was pretty sharp. You look at him 15 years ago. I still think he's pretty sharp. Have you noticed, though, that the left has tried to capitalize on a couple of gaffes he's made, where he's talking about Haley or Pelosi and he's interchanging them? That's easy to do. Sorry, but I don't think Haley has a chance in hell of winning. She could pull votes, but she would not be able to beat the left. I hate to say it, we need Trump in the office this time around. I think next time around, hopefully he appoints a vice president and wins, and that vice president is going to be set for the next 4 to 8 years. Same on the left. I have said on the left, why are they choosing to go with Joe Biden again? Because to replace him in an era where sitting president has to have the second term to put the stamp of approval on the first term he had, if they were to pull him, they would have to admit that he isn't doing the job. They're not ready to do that yet. Yeah, you got to look at people's records and what they do. Right now, it's going to be coming down. I hate to say it, it's going to come down to Biden and Trump. And you're going to have to make a choice on who you want in the office because it's going to be one or the other. Or it will be Biden's surrogate that they pull him from office and put in his place. So, I don't know. There's got to be better people. Is there somebody better than Trump? Probably. But I don't think better for the time and better for this election. Maybe better down the road. I heard Trump say something, and I mentioned this on the show the other day. He said something the other day. He said, and he was talking to believing that the election had been stolen and all of that. He was repeating that. And he said, he says, if I'd have taken office 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, he says, guess what? He said, this would be the end of my term. I'd be done. I'd be retiring. He says, instead, you're going to get me for 4 more years now. He was saying to the opponents, why is my picture so small? Stop saying that. You all know why it's small. Because I have the show graphic up. Let me pull the show graphic. Sorry, nothing against you, Val. Everybody says that. I think I've announced it many times that I leave that up there and then I forget to take it down. I leave it up so people can see what the show's about when they're coming in at first. So after the first few minutes, I pull it. And I hadn't yet. So sorry. Thank you, Val. I should be thanking you. for that. Let's put up a couple other little extras like that, and we'll put up that my proscenium arch, I like to call it. So there we go. Thanks, Val. I just got here. Damn, she said. Well, you're late for a very important date. All right. So moving on, talking about common sense still. When I say it's neither common nor it's sense, common sense, it evokes this image of earlier and simpler times, which industrious men and women built our country into what it is today. People with common sense are seen as reasonable, down to earth, reliable, practical. The greatest generation. World War II. Common sense. But here's the catch. Common sense is neither common nor is it sense. There's not a whole lot of sound judgment going on these days. Though whether it's worse than in the past, I can't be sure. So it's not common. If common sense, now we're maybe quibbling here about the word. If common sense was common, then most people wouldn't make the kinds of decisions they do every day. People wouldn't buy stuff they can't afford. They wouldn't smoke cigarettes to excess. They wouldn't drink to excess. They wouldn't take drugs. They wouldn't eat junk food. They wouldn't gamble if people made the kinds of decisions out of common sense. And if you want to get really specific and timely, politicians wouldn't be tweeting pictures of their private parts to strangers. Who did that? People wouldn't do the multitude of things that are clearly not good for them. You know what I'm talking about. Well, Anthony Weiner, was he a politician? I don't know. But there are politicians that do that. Common sense isn't real sense if we define sense as being sound judgment, because relying on experience alone doesn't usually offer enough information to draw reliable conclusions. Hell, I think common sense is a contradiction in terms sometimes. Real sense can rarely be derived from experience alone. Why? Because most people's experiences are limited. So-called common sense, therefore, kind of becomes a bit of a fallacy that's been foisted on us by our culture. A culture of ideology. Any ideology that wants to tell us what we should think and do will tell us, of course, that they have common sense. Or in the old days, God is on our side. Our culture of ideology wants to tell us that what we should think and do that prefers us to be stupid, ill-informed, and poor decision makers. Common sense is even used as an ideological cudgel in which so-called coastal elites lack sense and as a result are out of touch with real Americans who apparently have an abundance of common sense. But if we used our elected representatives as examples, though I can't vouch for how representative they actually are anymore, I think it's safe to say that unsound judgment, that is the absence of common sense, doesn't discriminate based on political ideology. So, yeah, Trump has grown, Susie Q. We all do. Anybody out there, you say Trump's values are crap. Annette, I would disagree with you. I think his values are good. I think you're seeing, though, a man that came from being a billionaire playboy and on TV and having anything he ever wanted to have to, in his older age, probably going, I need to give more to my country. I think Trump actually really does love this country. You're going to get an argument with people, but I think you have to look at what he's doing and what he's done. I have now, Annette and others, maybe you've heard me say this before. I've used the example before. Don't roll your eyes if you've heard it before. Go, oh, he's going to talk about that again. I'll make it quick. I kind of liken Trump to a Thomas Becket. And if you're a student of history, medieval history, you'll know who Thomas Becket was. He served under Henry II, but he was a carousing buddy, if you will, of the prince. And when Henry II became king, he wanted his allies in office. And he commanded Thomas Becket, his old drinking buddy, womanizer, carouser, wanted him to be the Archbishop of Canterbury because he wanted control over that archbishopship. And he thought, no better way to do than to have my friend in this office. Yeah, Randall, he always has talked about the country. You look back into the 80s, see interviews with him on Oprah in the 80s. He sounded like he does now with his ideologies. But back to Thomas Becket, he says to Henry II, he says, don't ask this of me. Please, do not, I beg you, do not ask this of me. And the king says, I'll command it if you don't do it. I'm your king. I need you there as my political ally in the church. Begrudgingly, Becket does it. But he's an old womanizer, an old carouser, but what does he do once he gains the office? He's not a man of the cloth, but what does he do? He sells his belongings. He takes on the role of what he has been appointed to do, so much so that he takes it on in total contradiction to his past life and his past lifestyle, and says, I need to be this. You appointed me to be this. I will not be in this office as an ally to the king. I will be in it as an ally to God and then the king. That's what you've asked me to do. And what happens? He ends up standing against Henry II and many things. I'm giving this story light. You can dig into the history of this. And it's a very intriguing story. But what does Henry II eventually do? He has his friend Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury, who is not doing what he wants him to do, assassinated on the steps of the Canterbury Cathedral. The altar steps. And then he goes in and he has himself whipped, flagellated, not flatulated. Two different things. To show he needs the forgiveness of the church and he confesses his sin and so on. Meanwhile, he's killed his friend. I see Trump as a kind of modern day Thomas Becket. He had his former days as a billionaire playboy, but he loves his country and he's always loved his country. And he found that he has to be and do certain things to make the country better. You might disagree with me on that analogy, but I believe it's pretty close. I don't walk around with blinders on to these guys. If I thought Trump was a sap and a fool and an idiot and didn't deserve the office, I'd be saying so. I'd be like, vote for Nikki Haley. Well, probably not. I'd be saying, vote for Vivek Ramaswamy, who I'd like to see be the vice president. Set him up for 8 years. So that's my take on Trump. But getting back to common sense, the word common, by definition, suggests that common sense is held by a large number of people. But the idea that if most people think something makes sense, then it must be sound judgment, or has been disproven time and time again. That notion. Further, it's often people who might be accused of not having common sense who prove what common sense is not only not sense, but also completely wrong. Plus, common sense is often used by people. It sounds like I'm doing double talk here. I'm not. Listen to me closely. Let me say that again. I'll put it this. Let me say this way. It's often the people who might be accused of not having common sense who prove to us over and over again that what is common sense is not only not sense, but also completely wrong. Common sense is often used by people who don't have the real knowledge, the expertise, or the direct experience to actually make sound judgments. So the unfortunate reality of all this is that trusting common sense, in point of fact, causes us to make poorer rather than sounder judgments. Perhaps the biggest problem with common sense is that it falls prey to the clear limits of personal experience, or we don't even have any actual experience in the matter and rely simply on what we believe to be true or have been told is true, what we might label, God forbid, faith-based sense, in the broadest sense of the word faith. Broadest, I'm not talking about religion. Faith-based. Based on, I put my faith in this thing. So, for example, when you're having a discussion about just about anything that requires taking a stand on something, the weather, the economy, raising children, sports, whatever, how often do you hear some variation of, it's been my experience that, fill in the blank, and the person then draws a conclusion based on said experience? How often have we heard that? And how often is that conclusion widely at odds with the facts that we already know? So I think we need to jettison the notion of the sanctity of common sense. And instead we need to embrace reasoned sense. Reasoned sense. Reason, using our reasoned mind. Annette says, so why didn't Trump call off the crowd on January 6th? He did. I was there. I saw it. They were there under the assumed orders of Trump. They would have left had he given the word. He did nothing. He said, be peaceable. He told people to go home. Remember, Annette, there were over 500,000 people there on the Capitol steps and flooding the streets. There was only 100 or so that did anything they shouldn't have done. So he said, go peacefully. He told them it's on tape. It's for the ages. He said, be peaceable. Go home. Stand down. He did it. He did in that. And I'm not saying that to contradict you, my friend. I'm saying it to say I saw it happen. And I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again in the recordings of that day. Yeah, he put it up on Twitter and they took it down. They wiped it out. So says Steph. Look it up. I know this. Claudette says, yeah, he said go home. Stop. They wiped it and they admitted to it. This is what bothers me about the whole J6 thing, is that, and you get in trouble for talking about it on places like YouTube. You know why? Because it goes against the narrative they want people to know. If you think there is not conspiracy out there, there is. I heard Swalwell today talking about the Mayorkas impeachment hearings. He was talking about something, what the Republicans are doing by not passing Biden's border bill is they're continuing the insurrection, he said. I stopped and I went, what the fuck did he just say? Yeah, he said that today. Swalwell, The guy who got caught literally with his pants down with a Chinese spy sapping him for information. Why didn't he get in trouble for that? Because he's on the left. I think we need to throw out the whole notion of the sanctity of common sense. Of course, we can't do an in-depth scientific study of every topic for which we need to draw a conclusion or make a decision. We can't. Even the stuff we're just talking about just now from the chat room. At least not on the spot, we can't. We can't, in the formal sense, do a review of the literature that includes relevant theories and scientific findings to date, prepare detailed hypotheses, design formal methodologies, collect data, employ complex statistical analyses from which we draw conclusions. But we can and should apply many of these basic principles of the scientific method in more informal ways to our daily lives. The scientific method, something I have that has laced its way in and out of just about every book I've written, every theory I put forth. I've had to deal with scientific methodology. I could look at the Trump presidency. I could look at, if you can step outside a box, which I have done, believe it or not. I've tried to step out of the either conservative or liberal box and look back in, say, okay, how am I supposed to make my decisions with all this grossly contradictory information that's out there? I have to put it through the scientific methodology of my reasoning mind. And there's a bit of intuition that can also be brought in, which is not very scientific. But Annette and others listening, on all this stuff, you've got to apply a bit of your intuition and say, is my intuition, do I allow it to be governed by what I see and learn and ascertain and research and study? Or is it guided by the ring in my nose of either conservative or liberal politics, conservative or liberal media? I do know that what we have happening today, as I talked about at the beginning, the kind of the death throes of the empire of America, if you will, isn't happening just in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. It's been the last 3 or 4 or 5 decades that have put us where we are. And look at what has been the outcome of that. I go back to Alinskyism in the 60s. Saul Alinsky's 10 Rules for Radicals. Look those up. We've talked about those before here. And you can see how that has shaped our society as it exists now. Yeah, Randall Flagg, the people who started the riot did so while he was still speaking. You're right. And he wasn't egging them on. And the rhetoric he used is the same rhetoric every politician has used. We're going to fight this until we win. Take them down. He didn't ask anybody to draw guns. Yeah, what a day it's going to be, Claudette, when the truth's all going to come out. I think it's already out there. We've already seen a lot of it. The machine in place is the juggernaut that needs stopping. We have to collect data and convince ourselves of what we know to be right and wrong by studying and restudying the scientific method. And we should apply these basic principles of the scientific method in more informal ways in our daily lives. A course in scientific thinking and methodology for everyday life should be a requirement for all students. I try to get my young kids, my 14-year-old, my 12-year-old, my 9-year-old, not so much. He starts to catch on a little bit, but I try to pass these things on to them. My son and I, we were driving for about an hour the other day, 2 ways, an hour each way. And we were talking about that, and he asked me about this stuff. He asked me about what's going on in Texas. What do you think of that, Dad? And as I'm talking, I'm trying to give it to him in the most simplistic of terms. Yet each thing keeps opening up. Well, why did that happen? Well, because of this. Why did that? Because of that. Because of that. Because of that. Suddenly you've got this huge mess of information. And I said to him, I said, see, that's why it's so confusing to understand. You got to boil it sometimes down to the simplest facts. Or I said the most common sense facts. So every student, every kid should have a course in scientific thinking, scientific methodology. Scientific methodology for everyday life. That should be your prerequisite to being a student for graduation. So a proactive education like that about precise thinking and real sense might reduce the number of truly dunderheaded, why that comes to mind, dunderheaded, idiotic things that subsequent generations will do. And the current generations are probably beyond remediation at this point. Believe it or not. But here are some ways in which people can engage in more sensical thinking, whether common or otherwise. What does it matter where sense comes from, as long as it truly reflects sound judgment? First, we can begin our inquiry with an open mind. Something sorely lacking in matters both trivial, think of the 49ers and the Saints and the Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings, of course, any logical person would come to them. But and substantial, how to fix the budget deficit. So you can do it in the mundane and commonplace and the substantial, the substantive. So without being receptive to answers that we may not want to hear, we might just as well ask ourselves what we want to be true and just simply go with that if we're not open to the answers. What many people with so-called common sense, but most efficient, often go wrong. Second, we need to establish hypotheses that we would like to see affirmed when we're asking questions in our lives. For example, about relationships. Okay, how about this one? I know she likes me, or I know he likes me, but... Or the economy. It's definitely picking up, some people would say. I saw some guy yesterday say, we're at 2% or something like that, where Joe Biden was when he first took office. And I looked it up and I said, well, today we happen to be at 3.53%, and we were at 3.14 earlier in the month. I said, that doesn't sound like 2% to me. But the economy sucks right now. But for hypotheses to be more than just foregone conclusions, the world is flat. Oops. That was common sense of the day. It's also important to, and by the way, uncommon sense today. There are people who think the world's flat now. Come on. All I want to do, I don't even want to argue their point. I just want to go, come on, idiot. Just considering that there might be answers other than the ones that we want ensures that any experiment we conduct isn't just an exercise in self-serving affirmation. Drug trials done by pharmaceutical companies, for instance. We know this drug is safe. Our own company tested it. Third, we can collect a sizable sample of data that is more likely to be representative of the population as a whole. So instead of just asking a few friends their opinions on a topic, which are likely similar to my own, we ask other people outside our circle. Does that guarantee sound judgments? No, of course not. But does it make it more likely that whatever conclusion is drawn will be closer to reality? Absolutely. Fourth, we can analyze the data as objectively as possible. Let's be realistic. No one likes to see their theories disproven. Oh, that Einstein character is simply an ass. And there's a cynical saying in the sciences: if the facts don't fit the theory, throw out the facts. Also, don't forget GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, which describes the failures in human decision-making due to faulty, incomplete, or imprecise data. Thanks, Wikipedia. The scientific method attempts to prevent both sayings from being realized by using statistical analysis that, at least in theory, don't allow for the intrusion of human biases. It's the best we have at this point. The bottom line is that if we can learn to think in more open and rigorous ways, we can draw the most accurate conclusions and make the best decisions possible for the myriad of questions that we ask and that are asked every day. Concerns, problems, things on a daily level, be they mundane or impactful. And we might just all get along a little better if we do that. Do you think? So common sense, is it really common? Is it really sense? No. Certainly better approaches than that. And I need that for myself and my own political party. Now I got to rethink it. I got to become the critical thinking party. Then I'll run for president. In a pig's eye, as they used to say. All right, radio audience, we got a little less than 45 seconds and we're out with you. And so stick around in the captain's cabin in the YouTube channel. Come on over, youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And those of you who are there right now listening, come on over. Live long and prosper.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid radio program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Hey folks, this is Scotty Roberts, and this is the Intrepid radio broadcast. I've been broadcasting for about 20 years now, covering such topics as science, politics, the paranormal, weird science, weird world history, archaeology, and the paranormal. Everything from ghosts to cryptids to creepy things that go bump in the night. So every week I bring you 3 new episodes. Come and join my channel and also be a patron to this site. So see the details below, and we'll see you here. Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave. Welcome back, folks. This is the Captain's Cabin. Good to have you here. Glad you're here. John Senecal, I see you said mute the video and put on the CC and read it to us. I'm not sure what you're talking about. On what? One of the, or what was it? The Dave Potter? Was it the Spirit Box? What was it specifically you're speaking of? Not sure. My mind went right to that as soon as I was reading your words, and I thought, oh, is that what you mean? Are you referring to that? I don't know that closed captioning would pick it up. You would have had to been there, which I was and my wife was, who was filming it. But unless you meant something else. Kelly Moran, yourself. Pop it. So the response to Jean-Pierre, what's her face? Oh, that? Oh, my God. Yeah. If that's what John's talking about, there is no, oh my goodness. You hear the way we talk, even when we're not fumbling for words. Yeah. Jean-Pierre. Yeah. My opinion, she was not right for the job. So that's my take. All right, anybody want to talk tonight? Because I'm talked out. I put a little, not too much. I put a lot of energy into tonight. I'm just kind of like, blah. I'm kind of talked out. Although I could have kept going if I had to. What's everybody got to say? What's on your mind? What do you think about? What does all this stuff do to you? Do you have common sense? Do you not have common sense? Is common sense important? I think so. I think a lot of these academics, they try to break it down and so on and so on. And you know what it all means is it just means using good judgment. I think the best judgment would say, and you can't weigh everything against everything else all the time. Hey, there's JP. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. You said, hey, does anybody want to talk? So I figured I would just,
Sure, I think I figured I'd just come on in.
Once again, the usual suspects strike.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what he was getting at was that if you went onto YouTube, if the video is on YouTube, you could bring that up, turn on the closed captioning on the video,
sure
and then
could.
read that. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. You just said that if it's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting, wouldn't it? It'd be a stammering, mumbling, a bunch of BS is what it would be.
Well, yeah. I gotta tell you, that bothers the living crap out of me.
Yeah. Why wouldn't something like that be a nail in a career's coffin?
Right. Well, the other thing though is I haven't seen anything picked up on it about the news or anything like that. I mean,
I'm not gonna.
You mentioning it was the first I'd heard of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, there may be stuff tomorrow. or
Yeah.
whatever. But I think one of
Terry
the things. Well, I think one of the things that happens is that you get people in those positions who probably go through the motions whenever they are, because they are a type of GS government employee. So there is
Right.
an oath of office that is taken as a government employee. And, most people, I state your name. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. The order of the president. Yeah. So help me God. Like
Oh my God.
they're doing the thing. And as somebody who's actually taken the military oath of enlistment and
I took that.
of having my, receiving my warrant when I graduated from Warrant Officer Candidate School, I had to take another oath of office. And then when I pinned on CW2, I had to take another oath of office and be sworn in. And when I pinned on 3, I had to do the same thing. And, so every time you go up, if you're on the officer side or, senior enlisted side, things like that, you have to retake that oath of office. Every time you re-enlist, you have to retake that oath of office. So most of us who are prior service of any significant amount of time and still hold that to be dear, we know that it's, I will follow and obey the orders of the President of the United States and all officers appointed above me, but it also says, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
Yes.
And your first loyalty is to the Constitution. Then the lawful orders of the President of the United States and the officers duly appointed over you. And there's a progression of importance there. And that's why the military remains apolitical, even though when you get up into your, general level officers, your flag level officers, it takes on a much more political bent. But that's more of the nature of doing business at those levels because of where you're making decisions and what you're having to do.
Sure.
It's not because the military is politics. Politics bleeds into everything in some form or fashion. But it's like, good God, been a veteran.
Uh-oh. There you are.
If there had been a veteran as part of the media team in there on a press pass when she said that, oh man, you would have been like, excuse me? From the back of the room. Say again, over. You're coming in broken and stupid.
The thing about her too, though, is there are people that I don't want to say she's smarmy. I don't get smarmy. But she believes of herself. She even said it. I saw her say it in an interview of her a couple of months ago, that she believes she is an historic figure because she was the first Black gay woman to be appointed to that office. So she believes she's historic.
And in terms of something like that, is there a certain level of historic in nature to that? Yeah, but like, no offense to the LGBTQ community or to African Americans or anything like that. It is not the footnote of history or the title page of history at this point,
right? That
you think it is. That doesn't mean that it's not significant.
Do you know what I have gotten really over? To put it in a simple one word.
What have you gotten over?
Every time. You know what I've gotten really over, Jason?
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, what really grinds my gears is every time, and it was just a couple of weeks ago, I heard something, and I said to Rainey, I said, there they go again. It's like, oh, and so is the first Pakistani American ever to be elected to the bloody office, or the first Black to ever be, or the first Black woman LGBTQ transgender with a new pair of testicles to be elected to this office, or the new whatever.
It gets very
It's like,
it
I
gets
don't
very
really give
played
a
out.
flying rat's ass.
Yeah, it gets very played out when you do it that much.
Yeah, and it's everywhere.
Yeah, well, and I'll be completely honest. When you do it that much, when you point it out so heavily, so often, with every little thing that you can, doing that begins to lose value. It's just like printing more money. The more there is of something, the less
Right.
value it has.
Right.
And
that's why I've always said, if everybody's racist, everything is racist, then nothing's racist. Right?
I guess, I don't know. And that's the thing is it, as a historian, it is historically significant if you have had these people who are minorities or, coming from what has been historically in a societal, way, a considered.
Ilhan Omar is an historic election. She was elected historically. She was the first Somali-born American in the office as a congresswoman.
Yeah,
and I think if we were to follow her model, there won't be probably many more.
Well, here's the thing with stuff like that, and like with her, that's all well and good, okay, and I do have a level of respect for that, right? I don't have respect for her policies or her attitudes towards a lot of things. I do have respect for the significance of something like that because, especially if you have immigrant communities and things like that, that is a big deal for those communities. And so there should be a level of respect, and understanding given to that.
Yeah,
but
keep in mind, that's the same community in Minneapolis that elected her.
Yeah.
It's the same community that wanted to vote in Sharia law for that district. So
right. Yeah. But
the danger. And of course, our Constitution has to trump that.
The thing that should come above and beyond all else, though, is the fact that, it should be a mindset of I'm an American citizen and I'm entering into public office to serve.
Yes.
And that, above all else, is the most important thing and what deserves the most respect. Mm-hmm. When you start tagging extra things onto it and you do it to every second person that gets into a position, I hate to say it, but to the public, it starts to lose its value.
It does.
You've just printed off $4 million $100 bills, and now it's no longer really worth the $100.
No longer good. You've created inflation,
right? And what does that get you? And it's probably a dangerous thing to say because it could probably be misconstrued in so many ways. Which is why I made sure to explain that, it is significant, but we should, it's like if you
for a second, I'm just going to zip around the corner and grab something to drink. Keep talking. I can hear you.
It's like if you have somebody who says, I love you every 5 minutes.
I love you, Jason, by the way.
Well, now I just feel awkward. I kid. I love you too, brother. But there's that thing when it's repeated over and over again, it loses value if there's nothing substantive behind it. So that can be very frustrating. But again, not to take away significance of something like that, because
I told you lately that I love you, though.
Yeah.
Keep going.
About 2 minutes ago, actually, I was.
I'm just overwhelmed with it.
Oh God, yeah. I opened my big mouth and see that's what happens.
There it is. I get you though. I'm tracking with it and understand exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and don't cheapen it. Like, acknowledge the significance. Just don't harp on it, and don't let that be the only thing. Because you could be the first Martian American to end up, in the Senate or the House, but
if that's all you do,
Yeah.
that's the only significant thing and contribution you do in service to your country. And that is what the House and the Senate and even the presidency is. It is service. I think there's a lot of people who miss that point, or they weren't there in U.S. government class senior year of high school or whatever, and they played hooky or slept through it. But
Sure.
it is service. It is public service, and it is something that should not be taken lightly, and it's not something that should be used as currency and clout. If you understand how to wield the power and wield it justly and properly, that's good, and and how it should be done. But it shouldn't just be something that's about clout, or look at my station, or I've got a check mark on my way up the ladder. Because you see the people who look to be career politicians, right? Well, let me get on city council. Let me. I've done city council for a company. Let me go for mayor or city administrator and then mayor. Let me. Let me go for state level legislature. Let me go for and you keep working your way up this ladder, and it's kind of on one hand it's good because you are getting experience.
Yes.
But on the other hand, it can also be bad if the person that you've got taken the steps up the rungs is more about the glory and the prestige than they are about taking their job seriously.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can't vote for anybody because you don't like anybody. Write my name in on the presidential ballot, and I'll talk to everyone in Congress like I'm a disappointed father.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like I want this guy, and this guy in, and this gal too.
Yep. In my office now.
I want them in my office yesterday. Close the Oval Office door. Secret Service guys, step out. I don't need you to see me like this.
I love that makes me think of that poignant moment that we've seen it because they showed it in trailers and things of the movie Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis playing Abraham Lincoln.
Oh yeah,
great one. I loved that part where he says he's getting frustrated with these guys bickering his cabinet, and he says, I don't remember how it starts, but he's like, gentlemen, he says, enough. He says, I am the president. And he could have just as well have said, motherfucking, I am the president of the United States, imbued with great power. And I will have those votes.
Yeah.
And I love that because it showed a part of Lincoln. We aren't used to hearing much about that about Lincoln.
Yeah.
But and by the way, just as an editorial, Daniel Day-Lewis, magnificent job playing Lincoln. If you have not seen that movie, anyone.
Well, he's one of those guys that just does a magnificent job in whatever it is. I mean, I was introduced to him as probably many were as Hawkeye. As
Natty Bumpo,
Le Long Carbine,
Long Carbine,
or as they called him in the movie, Nathan Poe.
Yes,
I don't.
Nathan Poe. I think because Bumpos just sounded weird.
Yeah, we can't call him Natty Bumpo, man. That's not. And Daniel Day-Lewis was probably like, no, don't change it to Nathaniel or Nathan Poe. Natty. I'm Natty.
Natty.
Because he's that kind of, he's a total method actor. And, but it's, I don't know. Some days I turn on the news and understanding that I probably shouldn't, and it's just like, I'm waiting for the aneurysm. Like, it's so frustrating. And, I'm a pretty conservative guy in a lot of ways. I do have some probably, a little bit more liberal leanings than most ultra conservatives would. I'm probably more of a centrist. I'm probably more like libertarian. Just leave me the hell alone, and I'll leave you the hell alone.
Right.
But it's I typically watch Fox News because not so much because conservative, but they've consistently been the ones who have like
Exactly.
discussed hard to talk about topics. They have, they've brought up things that, CNN will not, refuses to, look at different aspects. And there's some people on there that are more hardline right than others. And there's some who are more centrists and things like that. And I try to, pay a little bit more attention to the more centrist kind of thing, because that's more realistic. You know what I mean? Because there's always going to be something somewhere that shifts you on that little XY axis graph, in terms of political leanings. But anymore with Fox News, it's getting to be like, let's do the mic drop jab. And
yes,
it just gets old, and they're starting to turn more towards shock stuff, and they're doing more of the, kind of twisting things or skewing, things. And I'm just
I see that more with some of the commentary, like Gutfeld, who I like.
Well, Gutfeld's just funny.
Yeah,
that whole show that he does is, I can't help but laugh at that. But there's some guys where I'm just like, you weren't like this like 6 months ago, 3 months ago. Can we throttle it back a little bit? Because you're really actually not helping anything. As much as I like to blame Walter Cronkite for, the loss of the Vietnam War, if you will, with his, ladies and gentlemen, this reporter sees no light at the end of this tunnel, right?
No light at the end of the tunnel.
Forget the fact that we had literally just kicked the VC's ass all over the place and decimated them. And they were all like, oh, let's just kind of go back across the parallel there. The Viet Cong ceased to actually basically exist after the Tet Offensive of '68. But let's find a way to bring guys like him back, because it's starting Joe Friday, the facts, man. Like, yes. I'm going to tell you the information. Here's what I know. Here's what I've seen. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm not being a pundit. You guys make the decision, because we have faith in the American people to actually, put 2 and 2 together and get 4. And like, we need to find a way to get back to that. Like, I don't know if that means like drawing up all of the CEOs and execs and owners of all the news, companies, like on charges of treason somehow. Like, I don't know. Right. Like, if you don't stop this, we're gonna slap you with treason. Like, I don't know how you would do that, but something very, very force their hand into stopping to be the shock jock, looking about things. It's like, what are you in journalism for? Are you here to make a buck, or are you here to put out the information so people can make an educated decision?
Well, a little bit of both. Seriously. If some network came to me and said, we want you to disseminate the truth on our network, I would love to. What are you going to pay me? It'd be nice to get the good pay for disseminating the truth.
Yeah, come on, Scotty. What's your price?
Lanterns of truth cost money. So.
Yeah. I don't know. There is a. We need to find a way to bring back a Jack Kennedy. Yes. Like, for all of his faults. Ronald Reagan, bring him back. If nothing else, a great orator. Did he get some things wrong?
Ronald Reagan.
Right? Did he get some things wrong? Sure. But like, we need to bring people of that caliber back.
There was something, not that this is the end all and be all of what Ronald Reagan did, but I do remember him getting on a speech. Was it about Iran Contra? Where he got sitting at the desk right there, looking into, American people. And then, and he said, I was wrong.
Yeah.
So
he says,
Roberts, I'm going to give you a tarot card of the day.
Tarot card of the day. Okay. All right.
Oh, it's my TikTok just.
Have any magical
popped on. It's like, well, okay, well, thank you, Scotty Roberts,
Thanks,
for
TikTok.
interrupting my show.
Right.
Ronald
no,
Reagan,
you know-
I liked it because he said I was wrong.
Yeah.
I made mistakes on this thing, and I was wrong, and you know, and
you know what? That speaks to character. That speaks to
Yes.
character, because you know what? Even for people of the most character, it's still difficult
Yes.
to do. But you saddle up and you do it anyway. You know, and if we did more to strive for that, you know, even if we strive for that more as a society more than we do, even just a little bit more would be better than where we're at.
sure,
You know, and it's.
I agree.
I I would love to see Biden. It's never going to happen, but you know, I would have loved to have seen Biden come out when they, you know, they started kind of slowly reinstating some of the things that they signed out of executive order when he
Yep.
got in, and been like, you know what?
I was wrong.
I was wrong, and so I'm reinstating these executive orders. Believe it or not, the previous administration may have been onto something with these like two things. Like,
I would have loved if he'd have done something like that. I'd have dropped my jaw and went, "Oh,
but
oh,
I-
well,
I probably would have started, you know, taking a flight to DC and walked around the grounds looking for the pod.
yes,
You know, like, where's the body snatcher?
yes,
Well, because at this point it's become such a norm that if there's a
Yeah.
variance from it, it's shocking. And that's not how it should be. You know, like, I would love to talk to Joe Biden like a disappointed dad.
yeah."
I would-
Except,
You know, like, just sit your 80-year-old ass
Joe
down.
Biden would be like the. I can't even say that. I can't even say. I was going to make fun of something and I can't, because it would be really bad and people would think really ill of me. But he would be the. He would be the tainted son at this point. So,
Yeah. I mean, you know, if all of a sudden it turned a corner that, you know, I'm sure everybody would be shocked, and it probably wouldn't do a whole lot to help anything. But
Yeah.
like, that's something that we'd seen. We're this grassroots movement. Every dollar you donate, we give work and get done. You know,
getting those, Steph, by the way, they're dinging into my phone.
because Ronald just said grassroots and perseverance.
I say yes.
But like, that's something that you're starting to see less and less of out of our politicians. You know, like, Bush Sr. started off in the election. Read my lips. No
new
taxes. And then, because of the Gulf War and everything, he came back and he said, "I know I said this,
But I have to
paraphrasing.
go the other way now.
but if we're going to do this, and it
Mhm.
killed his chance at a second term."
Sure.
And he knew that walking into that moment, walking up to the podium to say that man knew my presidential career dies,
It's over.
and he
Yep.
did it anyway. But you know what? That comes from some dude who's been shot down multiple times over the
Yes.
Pacific and survived. there is a level of grit that you kind of don't see, and it's
Mhm.
kind of frustrating, and it's kind of
It
disappointing.
is.
You know, I don't know. This is going to be an interesting year.
And we got 9 months left of it.
Mm.
So, and
Just
was that
wish
a
people would-
flask you just tipped back?
No.
Oh. I
Biden-
caught it out of the corner of my eye. Oh, okay.
Look, at this point, if we were at that, I would just.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, just let her rip.
Right? Yeah. I'm about there. Like, you know, it's just so frustrating to watch. You
It is.
expect more of people,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't hold them accountable as citizens. I think people have
agree.
forgotten what being a citizen is all about. we need to get somebody back up there. And I'm not saying it's RFK Jr. or anything like that. I mean, he seems like a decent guy for the most part, and he's gone through his own personal challenges and risen above them.
Sure.
And so I have respect for the man, but I don't know if it's him or whoever it is, somebody to, get back out there, go like Jack Kennedy, ask not what, your country can do for you.
Ask not what.
But what you can do for your country. And, he ripped that off from a previous president. I'm trying to remember who it was. God. It's escaping me now, but there was a previous president, and multiple presidents previous, and he said almost exactly the same thing, but Jack Kennedy was able to kind of shorten it and sweeten it, and then he had that way of delivering things that people listened and actively listened,
Yes.
and. He took somebody else's music and ran with it, and he sold gold records.
I that just brought a little thing back to mind. Kids, how many kids quote presidents nowadays? Kids,
not
grade
very
school
many.
kids. Even in fun. It was interesting when I was in the
I'm not
fourth or the fifth grade. I don't remember what it was for. I want to say it had to be for theater in summer school or something. My mom, single mom, always signed his kids up for summer school. We're like, it's summer. We don't want to go back to school.
I got to work, and you're not staying at the house all day.
Yeah. I'm giving you something to do. And she signed us for park board stuff and summer school, but she always let us do cool things. We did art stuff and theater in summer school. So, there was a puppet show. We had to make the puppets, build the little stages, and put on a puppet show for the 2 weeks that we were there. And I don't remember any details about it, except you mentioned JFK, and you were quoting him with the accent. And I remembered the going to the moon speech that he made. And you're frozen. Are you still there? You there? Jason? He's frozen. Damn it. But
Hi folks, I'm Scotty.
Oh, there you are.
My thing is playing again. What the heck?
Let's shuffle this.
I don't know, but you just straight up disappeared.
Then my thing started up again. But so I did we did a thing with a rocket ship and aliens and astronauts with puppets, and I remember getting up, and it wasn't supposed to be JFK, but I did some say we should go to the moon, and they may well ask why climb the highest mountain, why 35 years ago, and I think I changed to 105 years ago, fly the Atlantic. Why does Royce play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. I think we were making it Mars or something.
Yeah.
If I remember it, because
we choose these things not because they are not because they're easy, but because they are hard.
Because they are hard. They are had. And all that. That was the line that killed me. Here's the president making this eloquent speech about all this, and he goes, and we choose to go to the moon and all that. Or whatever he said, and it was like, that seemed out of place for me, even for a fourth grader.
Right.
So, but
people don't do that anymore.
No.
And that's why every shameless opportunity I get, I'd say, hey, let's go look up the time for choosing, the Barry Goldwater speech.
Yes.
And the amazing thing with that speech is, and the sad thing with that speech, and the mildly terrifying thing with that speech, is that it is still so relevant.
Oh yeah.
It blows my mind, and it's such an amazing speech. And but that's one of the things that Reagan was great with. I mean, he's a great orator. You know, I mean, like he knew how to talk.
Yes, he did.
And you know, I think there's a lot of people that really hate him for the for the air traffic controller incident.
I loved that. I remember when that happened.
So did I. I was like, you know,
I saw the best political cartoon when that happened. It showed Reagan sitting at the desk in the Oval Office, political cartoon, and he's got all these paper airplanes he's throwing. All these paper airplanes are all pink slips. I thought that was great.
You know, but like that's the thing is I understand why they were upset.
Yeah.
But ATC is not an easy job, and it's an incredibly stressful job, you know, especially when you don't have enough people. And if you're not being paid well, I get it. But like at the same time, it's service. It is public service. To do that, you are keeping people alive.
Yes.
And it is necessary to keep that system running for everything that we do, from commerce to
You're freezing. Damn it, Jim, Jason. Oh, hey, we got somebody hanging in the wings, though. Who the hell is this? He looks very different tonight. Here he is, folks. How you doing, Professor?
I'm doing great. This is a drive-by, stop-in.
I see.
Technology.
And we've got Jason frozen between us. So
there we go.
He looks rather good there. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You almost look like a 19th century politician there.
What was I? Or something. I forgot. That's
the
how I
waistcoat
froze.
and the tie and the. So, Prof, what are you up to? Where are you?
I am home. I'm simply in a different room. I'm doing a little tech test. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes.
Did you trim your beard?
No, I think it's lighting.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm sitting in the living room on my little laptop. That's actually my Surface Pro. It's a little tablet.
Nice.
Damn thing is almost 10 years old. And
It's almost as old as you.
Right? I mean,
Technology-wise.
Technology-wise, yeah. At least 1 year in tech years is what, 12? I don't know.
Yeah, it works out like dog years.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Professor.
But I've been working on doing a lot of content creating and websites and making videos and scheduling shows and stuff. And today was just when you have those days.
Yes.
That we all would like to have on a more regular basis than we actually do.
Oh, yes.
Which is where productivity hits a level that one feels not only proud, but if you reach the higher levels, you are humbled.
Yes.
So I'm here to share my humbled, just extremely pleased energy while I'm sitting here checking my tech and going, can I do this from here on this little tiny thing?
Sure you can.
Nothing like what I have in the studio. And the damn thing is still working.
There is a slight buzz, and I don't know if that's the Chinese or the aliens listening into you. But
well, it's interesting that you picked that up, and I appreciate that because this little 10-year-old Surface Pro has been developing some kind of little buzz back in the upper corner, and I'm not. It's all solid state, so there's no chips. I'm kind of wondering if it might be the power supply.
Solid state.
Could be. Do you have a lamp or anything close by it? How are you connected via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi?
I am going Wi-Fi from the desktop. I was just trying to. I would have come on much earlier, but I was trying to get my Bluetooth hooked up so that I wouldn't be getting the speaker sound from the computer while I was using the same mic.
Yeah, maybe it's picking up just the electrical signal. You know, back in the day when you knew a cell phone text was coming in.
No, it's hum from the back of the computer. It's been doing this for about a year. So you're definitely hearing that, which I really appreciate you calling that out,
I'm
because
not hearing it.
You said you
Now
were
I
testing
do,
your
now I
stuff
do.
out, so
It's like a little bit of a crackle.
yeah, it's the little. I think it's a power supply.
can you
it
speak in a
doesn't- it
transatlantic accent?
doesn't- Yeah, it doesn't hold the charge worth of shit. I've got to keep it plugged in. I use it sitting in the living room, sitting while I'm watching a movie. I'll check email or whatever on it, but
Just speak a little lower, and then just be like, and then the Mayans came in and they built the whatever pyramid. It's just it'll be great. You like you're talking through a carbon microphone.
Only here they're using ancient polymers to.
well, it's funny you bring that up.
They
I was
had
sharing-
lasers and cut the stones.
Lasers, you say? That's kind of Buck Rogers, isn't it?
So this funny you mentioned that, because I was talking.
I'm
with a
so
friend of mine.
glad you're so you take our jokes so well.
I appreciate
He's
it.
drinking.
if I wasn't cracking jokes at you, that means I don't like you. That's
And there it is.
Yeah, then I'd be a little bit worried, and I'd probably come on less than I already do.
Jason didn't poke fun at me. He's not feeling well. I don't.
Yes. Did I do something wrong?
I must not have dropped enough nuggets into the noggin to stir things up. So I better step it up. Scotty, this is Canadian whiskey on the rocks, which
It's a blend.
I had alcohol.
Royal Crown.
No,
Is
just Canadian whiskey. I got it at Sam's Club, and
Ooh.
I almost
He
picked it up.
bought it in bulk.
I almost got-
Leonardo's whiskey store.
I almost got the Glenlivet. Then I saw the Glenfiddich, and then I went, oh, maybe, you know. And I'm looking around, and I thought, well, let me just take a good perusal. And at the end of the aisle was this ginormous bottle. This thing is, I don't know, it's got to be a liter. And it's Canadian whiskey.
A Magnum.
Or Sam's Club, whatever their brand is. And
Their
it said
brand,
Canadian whiskey.
Kirkland signature,
And
Sam's Choice.
And what it reminded me of was when I was a young lad, just learning the ways of the whiskey.
When I was but a young lad, learning the ways of whiskey.
I
You know
used
what
to
I'm going to
drink.
do? Since you're drinking whiskey, I'm grabbing my
Dude,
tulip.
I was just gonna keep going, Professor.
So it reminded me when I was a wee lad, learning the ways of the whisk.
Should I go with some Garrison Brothers, or should I find something a little
Nice.
more real? I don't know which one to do.
You want to do
Y'all.
Irish or you want to do?
Texas,
Well,
y'all.
see, I was looking at me wee piggyback here, and
Well,
thinking maybe that might be something.
I'll go with this fine Texas straight bourbon.
Well, yeah, since you're doing
If you're doing that, I'll do the piggyback. Hold on, I need a cup.
And that, Your Honor, is how the fight started.
Exactly. Well, Your Honor, yeah, I can hear it. All right, I've got my my Boba Fett. That's all I've got down here. Other than I've got my big Stella Artois glasses over there. Maybe that's the thing to do.
If you're going to smell the whiskey, you got to get your nose in.
So this, as I was quipping on before, I was constantly, regularly, and purposely interrupted. I was when I was in the alcohol aisle, and I saw the Canadian.
The Canadian Club.
In fact, well, wait till Scotty gets back. So I saw this Canadian whiskey.
Yeah.
Remember Mark? That's what it is.
Yeah,
And
I remember
it reminded me. It reminded me of when I was growing up and what I used to drink when I was learning the ways of the wild.
Right.
And so there was two. I couldn't drink the white alcohol, vodka, gin. Even tequila I can do, but vodka and gin just tear me up. So I've always gone with the grains. So it's been bourbon or a whiskey or a blend. And then when I was traveling around the world in the 90s, I was treated in Europe and Asia about all these single malt scotches. And I went, oh my God, what is this fine nectar of the gods? And the next thing I knew, I was hooked. Single malts have been my jam for the last at least 25, almost 30 years.
It's hard to beat a good single malt, but I tell you what though, you talk about getting the Members Mark, giant vat o whiskey. So if you go into the class 6 on base, right? Class 6 is like a convenience store and they sell alcohol, right? You have different classes of supply and things like that. Alcohol falls under class 6 along with some other things. But you go into the class 6 on base and you go walking through the aisles. Down on the bottom 2 shelves, sometimes the very bottom shelf, you have the brand Military Special. And they are
military special?
Military Special. And it is literally a gallon of hooch. And it comes in a big ass plastic bottle. And you just look at it and you're like, yep, this has a strange night in the barracks written all over it. This is what generates the crazy stories along with soju out of South Korea.
Okay.
If you start digging around on, looking for questionable stories coming out of like the military barracks, some of the wildest ones come out of South Korea. Like they had a hooch made, as they would call them, or a mama-san, or
mama-san.
Living in the supply closet, being fed MREs, taking care of the whole platoon. Like, yes, people got into a lot of trouble once it was discovered. Thank God, heads did roll. But it's the military special liquor is like, this is what causes this.
Well, gentlemen,
yes.
Do you still have your
Macabre? Chris Rufert? Oh my goodness, I haven't seen Chris Rufert here forever.
Do you gentlemen still have your bottles handy?
Yes, I do. If those of you just joining us, we're starting a little late night, thanks to the professor. A little late night repast, and I happened to pick off my shelf the Whistle Pig Piggyback 100% rye, aged 6 years, in oak casks.
Oh shit! Jason's about to get the show going.
And I've got it in my Stella Artois.
Hold up the bottles that we all just selected.
I am partaking of the Garrison Brothers.
Okay, I see your piggy.
Yes.
I see your piggyback and your Jason Brothers, and I raised you.
Your Canadian whiskey.
Members Mark. Now,
I
will be honest.
Was that Maker's Mark? Did I hear you say Maker's Mark?
Generic Maker's Mark is what that is.
Generic Maker's
Crown
Mark.
Royal is what
Canadian
that is.
generic Maker's Mark.
And
no, it's Crown Royal. That's the generic Crown Royal. Look at the label.
Because I'm really surprised at how damn good this is.
Well, and that's one of the things, though, is like Costco and Sam's Club and things like that. They will get the high-end brand liquors and wines, and they will bottle it under their own label.
How big a bottle is that, Professor?
I want to point out before I can't hold this anymore. This takes 2 hands.
Soju, I had a great relationship.
I see you've got a double fister there.
You have to hold it up like a trophy.
Macabre, we did say booze. Yes, we did.
I know, I will admit it.
Chris Rivers says he has a great relationship with it.
With soju, yeah, I saw that. I have soju in the fridge. Soju is dangerous. The red cap is very dangerous. I went for the Garrison Brothers, but I was kind of on the fence because I was going with bourbon. I almost grabbed the Basil Hayden's.
Oh.
But as I was walking over there, do I want bourbon or what do I want? What do I want? And I had those bourbons to choose from, but I also had some Suntory. If you've never had Japanese whiskey,
Gentlemen.
Suntory Toki whiskey is great. Now, here's a really good one, and you can see how much I like it.
I see.
The IY.
IY.
And then a very interesting one is from Nika, and it's the coffee grain whiskey. Now, it's not made with coffee or anything like that. It gets its name from the still that they use. There's only one still in operation. I believe it's only one. It was in Scotland. It's called a coffee still. And Nika Whiskey bought the last remaining functional still from the owners in Scotland, had it broken down, and then reassembled it in Japan and put it back into operation. And, so there's
Yum.
Japanese offering, but I went with bourbon. I guess had to show a little love for the Lone Star State because things are interesting down there.
Well, there's nothing,
are we drinking?
Nothing like seeing, everybody's got their own spin on the narrative, right? There's always some kind of, we're going to call it an insurrection. We're going to call it an immigration invasion. And it's all a bunch of eyes, right? And there's all these, different ways that people define and delineate and then spread the bullshit into the discourse about how they want you to see it, right? Is it lawfare? Yeah, I think so. Is it interference? I think so. There's some of that going on at a minimum, whatever it might be. It should make one stop and pause for some reflection and some examination and questioning. You need to look at some of this stuff and go, is that really what it is?
Really?
Does it pass the really test?
By the way, if anybody would like to join us in channel, I've just posted the link. You can paste that link. That will bring you right into the studio, at least the background, and I'll bring you.
Where was our soju guy?
That's Chris Rupert.
Chris.
Jinro. I don't have much variety down here in the office. You see, this is all of my alcohol at the moment is within reach of my workstation.
Well, who would have thought you'd do that?
I got a little.
Why make it
Captain
easy?
Morgan private. There it is. The private stock. This came from Uncle Dave, by the way. Some of his private stock made it here.
I regret that I don't have any ice.
Oh, speaking of ice.
Yeah, I know. It's been 48 degrees today. It's weird.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, when one of the things that I learned was...
It was almost 60 here.
Yeah, we have 60 here today. I mean, it's just beautiful. But do you remember the first time that you found the round ice cube for your scotch or your whiskey?
Oh, yeah. The
balls,
little ice
right?
cube makers,
Yeah.
So, I mean, those, I like my shit cold, so I'm always putting ice. I put ice in my coffee. But I've always chilled my consumptions. And when I get into libations like this, I like a round cube. It's just one single one. It's just the right way to do, in my opinion.
It really is, if you think about it, because you have one ice cube, one large one. You have more surface area that the whiskey is exposed to get it chilled, things like that.
Especially if you're using good water, like a good high alkaline pH water, right? And that's what your cubes are. But
you probably.
There you go.
Pentagon-shaped ice cubes?
No, 20-sided die.
Yeah.
Because I'm a nerd.
I got this from Uncle Dave's private stock as well. I almost just now lost the entire bottle. I grabbed it out of the cabinet by the lid and it popped right off. And I almost lost the whole bottle. But this is a Macallan Amber liqueur. Now, this is not like drinking, soju. It's not soju. It's not like drinking a single malt Highland Scotch or a piggyback or anything like that. This is a Get drunk on goddamn That's So Sweet. I'll drink a whole bottle of it in one sitting. That's like it's like syrup, and it's called
it's a
amber,
liqueur.
and it's got it's a liqueur.
Yeah.
It's got a very maple syrupy smell to it. And we first tried this. Uncle David already passed, and we were helping clean out his trailer and grab some swords and costumes and things, and some things that he wanted me to have. And so I got the Captain Morgan, and I can't. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble reading this in my bad light here. Single malt Scotch whiskey, delicately balanced with natural maple and pecan.
Oh wow,
that's what's making this. It's made by Macallan.
That
I
sounds
wish
like
I
it'd be
could
very
share
rich.
some of this with you right now. This is incredible. My son Sam tried this, and he said, "I want to put that on some pancakes, Dad." As soon as you said it was done.
As soon as you said it was, the amber, which it already gave me an olfactory response. But when you said maple, I said, I want some fucking bacon with that.
Bacon,
right?
Bacon would be good with that. By the way, Macabre, we're right there at that link. If that's what you meant, he just picked up some French vodka in Okinawa.
Let's delve deeper into Jason's nerddom or dorkiness. Do these outlines at all look
yes
familiar?
Yes.
Yeah. Is
that ice cubes?
That's ice cube trips.
Nice. Nice.
I don't know how many $10 quarter rolls I blew at pizza.
Right? Oh yeah. We had there was a place back in Burke, Virginia, where I grew up. It's called Tippy's Taco House, right?
Yeah.
And absolute like garbage, fast foody kind of Mexican joint, right?
The good stuff,
right? But you could just get a whole basket of like bean and cheese tacos with some lettuce and stuff on it, and they were just like you just wolf them down. And they always had birch beer on tap on the on the soda dispenser, but they always had Galaga and Pac-Man.
Oh.
And every time we went there, you're saying, a whole roll of quarters playing this game.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of something.
Randall Flagg is sticking with Robitussin for now.
So this one is great if you can ever find it.
What do you got
Cat
there?
Daddy spiced.
Cat Daddy?
Yeah, Cat Daddy spiced moonshine. And if I remember correctly, it is affiliated in some sort of way, or it was anyway, with Junior Johnson of NASCAR fame. He was also a moonshiner though before NASCAR, and that's where NASCAR got its start with all the moonshiners. And he started the Midnight Moon brand. So if you've ever been in a liquor store, you see the mason jar says Midnight Moon. That's Junior Johnson's label. I think these guys started off under him, and now they're off on their own. But this stuff right here, holy shit!
I need to try some of that. Chris Ruford brings up the Macallan 12 is his go-to, but his guilty pleasure is Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Now, I've had a taste of peanut butter whiskey before, and it wasn't as bad and vile as it sounded. It was all right, as a matter of fact. I would like to line up, I need to do a gathering at the house. The last great alcohol gathering I had at my house was everybody had to show up, but they could only show up. I was providing all the beer, but there was a rule to the beer. If you bring a beer, you have to go by the house rules, which is tonight we're only getting obscure European beers, preferably Eastern Bloc beers. We had
I'd just be an asshole and show up with Guinness.
Rasputin beer and things like that, and we lined them up. Wouldn't this be a great gathering of the minds, where you have to be in one location, of course,
right?
But you
of
line
course.
up all your different major distilleries like Macallan, and get their off. You get the peanut butter, the screwball peanut butter. You get the amber liqueur. You get all of those and those kinds, and you line them all up and drink. When I throw my birthday parties, I threw my own birthday parties. Yes, I was that way. They weren't surprise birthday parties because I'd have to walk into my own house and go, "Oh, you didn't." But no, seriously, I'd throw my own birthday parties, and
I would tell everybody surprise birthday parties.
What's that?
You planned your own surprise.
I planned my own surprise birthday party.
You have to get up pretty early in the morning to surprise yourself with a surprise party.
That's right, and sometimes I did get up pretty early in the morning.
I think it falls into the narcissistic category. I'm not sure, but
something like that. But I told everybody, I said, I don't want anybody to bring a gift. I don't want anything.
Or short-term memory problems.
Come to the birthday party, and you bring a bottle of single malt Highland Scotch to crack open and share. And we had, of course, the tavern in my downstairs. And so we lined up along this bar. We lined up all these single malt scotches. And I do this every year. So, the keen, as Shakespeare might have said, the keen stroke on it, O-N', was each year I replenished my single malt Highland Scotch cabinet. But we line all those up and we drink them. And,
the ulterior motive has been revealed.
Yep.
Yes, that was my ulterior motive. And
don't bring any gifts. Just bring a single malt. We're fine. No gifts necessary. Oh, conveniently they left the bottle.
No gifts. No gifts. Just bring a bottle to share. I've got Duke and Dame salted caramel, says Randall Flagg.
Okay, so here's
this one? Macabre says U.S. Asahi
super dry beer
made in Italy. Made in Italy.
Really? Asahi made in Italy?
You know, once
beer, isn't it?
Once the global conglomerate of consolidation started happening, well, actually back in the 50s, but it kicked up some serious steam in the last 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And all of the independents, there's some really interesting graphics. When you look at, there's 6 companies that own all of the food that's made in the world, all the brands, all the different stuff. I mean, it goes down 3 or 4 layers. But the same thing happened to the alcohol industry.
Well, especially with beer.
And one of my clients for my software back in the 90s was InBev. And InBev was like the European consolidator, and they were grabbing this and that, and they got Grolsch and Heineken and, all the major beers that were in Europe at the time. Now they own like 80% of the alcohol market, the products.
Oh, wow.
And so when you get that, you're going to have some sloppy handovers, and there's going to be some sloppy results, because I've been in mergers and acquisitions. I've been merged and I've been acquired, and the shit that happens.
I've been merged and acquired.
Is that human trafficking?
I've been,
Professor. Should we?
Yes, but what happens is sometimes you get. They may keep all the different options. They may keep the team that built it and pay them well and make them, ask them to keep doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that's part of the time. Another part of the time, they say, well, we're going to throw in a couple of our own guys. And over time, they end up weeding out the old folks. And then there's the wholesale, wipe it clean, bring in a new team, now go.
Yeah.
And it's usually those that have the poor performance, the poor results, and are not able to hang on to the original brand and the quality and what it was known for. And, it's kind of like Bud Light.
Gotcha.
I mean, you think about what happened to Bud Light.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crap beer when I was drinking it back in the 70s. I grew up on Coors, which back then was actually
Colorado Kool-Aid. The silver bullet.
But all that shit and of course,
I gotta
there's
have a
the
touch of this. Well, I'm
there's the palate cleanser of time and experience, because all of a sudden all of those things start
Just a little
fine tuning that you consume, and you have a different perspective and a different level of respect and a different proclivity for.
So did kind of still on the topic of booze, but
Are we talking about booze?
we're talking clearly about booze.
You may be talking clearly.
Do you do you know why Mountain Dew was invented?
Why?
No, I do not.
To wash down.
As a mixer.
Really?
Yeah.
See, now, Mountain
No
Dew
shit.
does not sound like a good mixer to me.
I
Now,
know, right? So
I rarely do mixed drinks,
Mm.
but I will take, because it's a blend to begin with, I'll take a Jameson
Mm.
and I'll pour a Sprite with Jameson. You know who turned me on to that, Jason?
Who?
Was Barry Fitzgerald
Okay.
of Ghost Hunters International.
Okay.
He and John Ward.
Well, it's
which
like
I've
7 Up
told
and
the story
Seagram's.
before, but that was an interesting couple of evenings at my house when we did the Paradigm Symposium.
Uh-huh.
John Ward came in and he stayed at my house, and Barry Fitzgerald came and stayed in the other bedroom at my house. And the two of them, Irishman and an Englishman, sat on the love seat together, arguing politics.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But
Oh my
Barry
God,
said-
that must have been just mind-numbing.
it was unbelievable. I got pictures of it. John has his feet up on the coffee table wearing his Union Jack socks. And Barry is like this. He's saying something to John, and they're shoulder to shoulder on the love seat. And
Right.
I said, "This is lovely." This is just
Arguing over
lovely.
politics.
Well,
And,
Scotty, that
but-
your story there brought me back to where I started. My whole thing about, as far as, when I found the Canadian whiskey, and it reminded me of the Canadian Club, and I was what I used to drink when
compromise.
when I was so as I was learning the ways of the whisk,
Cocoa
and I
clean
was trying to
gas
figure
and
out
white
how
girl.
this stuff affected me and which ones I liked for various reasons. I drank Canadian Club, the little plastic bottles, or mostly Seagram 7. Remember Seagram 7?
Yes.
And so the mix,
Not because I ever drank the swill, just I don't remember.
so or VO. VO was another.
Yes.
So while I was trying to figure out how to choke this shit down so I could get lucky, because that's the only reason you drank that shit. Or we were playing a gig and trying to get lucky. But as I was swinging this stuff down,
I don't think you
What I
drink
found-
to get lucky.
I don't think you know the meaning of that term. I think somebody else.
The thing you
did.
say, I don't believe it means what you think it means.
I don't think that phrase means what you think it means. Yes.
So when I was trying to figure out how to swill this swig and make it go down my pipes and not come back up, the mix that I found that worked the best, and this will test many out there, was Werner's.
Oh,
Werner's ginger ale.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's not a gin. That's a gin.
It's a ginger ale. It's
Yeah.
a ginger ale.
Well,
Yeah.
Seagram's makes ginger ale.
Yeah. Mm.
So Seagram's 7 and VO or VO and Werner's, or Canadian Club and Werner's. I never really did like the Coke or the Pepsi because it was just too sweet.
Yeah.
But Werner's had this nice ginger ale.
I
It was a little bit lighter. Took
So
the
now
edge.
we're talking cocktails.
See,
Yes,
I like
exactly. That's what I call them.
that's pretty much what it is. I liked what Barry Fitzgerald said. He said, "Have you got Jameson?" I said, "Well, of course. I knew you were coming." And he said, "How about?" And he named some British brand of like a 7-Up type of thing. And I said, "I don't even recognize it. What is it?" He goes, 7-Up, 7-Up. Yeah. Oh well, we got Sprite. And so we went out and bought some Sprite, and he took a glass that had to be as tall as this, and he filled it with Jameson, Sprite, and about half and half. I swear.
Jeez.
And John Ward was like, "Oh no. He says, and so we gave John a little snifter, of it. But Barry and I polished off a whole thing of Jameson that evening, and I believe we cracked into another. But he poured those, and the thing about them was they were so incredibly tasty. There was the Sprite did away with any kind of Scotch or whiskey burn.
That's what the burners did.
And that's the burners. And it just made it smooth and sweet.
Right.
And we were pounding those.
It's a
And
dangerous
there
one.
wasn't a whole lot. I mean, you filled something this tall halfway with Jameson. You've gone through a couple bottles pretty quickly. And so we did that. I brought that concoction to Egypt with me, which is a dry country, of course.
I was going to say, and you weren't, drawn
but
in
you
quarters.
can buy it at the airport. So I bought a huge bottle of Jameson, almost like Professor Bauer's two-fisted Canadian swill there. Look at that. Look at that. He's holding it up like, and the Lord has written these 10 commandments.
Hey, and you know when the stuff is at least going to probably be good. You know the telltale sign.
What?
Open to the Book of Armaments.
No, when it's a cork.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's what I love. You know about this? This is the Captain Morgan private stock.
I had to run and grab
premium barrel that I got from Uncle Dave, and that's got the. Oh, that's a wonderful sound.
There's something about the pop of a cork, a cherry.
Yes.
No, cork.
So this, in honor of Dave, this came from Uncle Dave, and the amber came from, which I'm going to try some right now, and I've tried it already. You can tell it was a full bottle. It's the Macallan Single Malt Highland Scotch with hints of maple and pecan, or as they say in the South, pecan. So I've just got a little bit here.
Oh,
so here we go.
Salute.
Cheers. Salute.
Slash.
Cheers. Slancheva.
Yeah, that too.
So in 2011, when I got back
goodness.
from Afghanistan,
I'm going to grab my share bottle.
That is amazing.
So in 2011, when I got back from Afghanistan and we were on block leave, right? It's a period of time where we can take like up to a month of leave and nothing's scheduled, and so it's not interfering with training or anything like that. And the gal that I was involved with at the time and I went to Ireland for 9 days. Flew into Dublin, hired a car, drove all over the island, stayed for breakfast, all that. Well, we made our way to Northern Ireland, and we went to the old Bushmills distillery. And if you took the tour, you get you use your ticket to get a sample. But they also at the distillery and they sell it only at the distillery, is a bottle of 12-year reserve. And single Irish malt whiskey. But when you got it, you could get came with a custom special label, and it came in the tube with the label on that. And so you could put anything on the label that you wanted, your name or a group, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so on my bottle, on my label, they're like, what do you want to put on the label? And I was like, oh, I don't know, give me a minute. I'm sitting there thinking, and I said, let me see that paper, pencil. I jotted it down, slid it back across the bar. And I don't know if you guys can read that or not.
Oh, let me see.
JP's whiskey
see.
in case of emergency. Get a glass.
Oh, nice.
But this has remained unopened, and it will continue to remain unopened until one of two things happens. Either A, I open my own Irish pub, or B, I get married again. So those are the only 2 occasions in which this bottle will ever get opened.
You know, that's a rough call, Jason, but I just tossed this for consideration.
Okay.
If you're going to halt the consumption thereof until the wedding of you and some poor woman. That bottle.
Did you say some whore woman?
No, he said some poor woman.
Oh, poor woman.
Poor, not a her.
Pure
Poor
woman. Got it.
I'm simply going to suggest that you may need more than that bottle after you're married.
I don't disagree, but
You may have to move up to the cast model.
Is that not just gorgeous?
That's beautiful color.
I
That's
mean,
unbelievable.
that
frankly.
is just a beautiful dark amber.
We
It
had
looks like honey.
I know.
we had a single malt Highland Scotch that we drank with our regiment, our 42nd regiment, our Scottish 42nd Black Watch regiment.
Yeah.
And we'd stand around the fire and we'd pass. We got this bottle. We found it at the liquor store on a lark because we were buying other things. And it was this tall, skinny bottle of Scotch called Loch Dew, which basically means black water. And we would pass that bottle around singing sea shanties and 17th century, 18th century war songs around the fire, dressed in our British red coats and our kilts. And we'd be singing and drinking Loch Dew. And we would pass that bottle around, and everyone that took a sip had to raise it up above their heads and yell, Loch Dew! And we'd go, black water! And we'd go, and it would be, get bent! And then we'd drink and we'd pass it around. And we had a good time with that. That's what that reminds me of. One of those old bottles that I you know, and folks, I want to share something with you. Let's see. Oh, suspended. You won't let me do it.
What'd you do?
I'm trying to download something off of YouTube.
Well, clearly you downloaded something that got you suspended. So
now I have a question for you. If you're going to be
or not to be, as the case may be,
if in the original Klingon, if you're going to play a video that's copyrighted, but it's promoting their product, why would you not? Why would they suspend it? Why wouldn't they let you download that? And
So
I want to play it.
You
All right,
algorithms.
I'll tell you what it is.
Yep.
It's the Tullamore Dew. Have you seen the old Tullamore Dew ads that came out a few years back? And it has the 4 guys walking through the Irish countryside. They're all in black suits and hats, and
Yes.
it's raining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And they're singing, to all the maidens that e'er I had.
Yes.
And they're
they
singing
like
this
end up
song.
at the guy's wedding or something, right?
They're taking him to
Yes.
his wedding. And
Yeah.
I was trying to download that because I was going to play it. And it won't let me download it. But it stopped the download on me. I love that commercial, said Steph. I love that. And I love the whole series of Tullamore Dew ads that they did. They had the Irish American dressed the way we like to dress. Well, Jason and I especially. Maybe not the professor. But the way we like to dress. He's tending bar, and he's looking at you. He's talking to the camera, and he's tending bar in like an old Irish pub in New York, and it's all very classy. And he's got the waistcoat and the tie and all of that, and he's got his Irish accent and talking about. It was just a great ad. Tullamore Dew had the most fantastic ads. And,
I
Loved them.
I felt really down.
I'll share the YouTube
after I finally saw a commercial for Lefroy. because I had no idea how to pronounce it, and I was like, "What is that, Lafrahague?" And
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
no, it's Lafroig.
All right, guys, I can share this, but I don't know that you'll be able to hear it. It's not going to play the sound through the system. It's going to play it through my mic. So, which is sad, but I want to play this.
Aye. Very sad. Very
Because I
sad
love
indeed.
it. I love it. So here, I'm going to share my screen, which is present, share screen, boom, entire screen, bang, boom, there we go. I'm sharing my screen.
Whoa.
Let's go over to the Tullamore Do ad. Let's see what we get. I might have to bring my mic. I'm going to turn my directional mic around so you can hear it. Let's see if this works. All right, you ready? Hopefully we don't get horrendous feedback. Here it is.
And horrendous feedback.
Here we go.
Yeah, I remember that ad.
Gorgeous ad.
Yeah, I can't hear it, but I remember it.
Oh. You hear that?
Nope.
No.
Very faint.
Oh.
Tullamore. You lost your hat.
It looks like a lot of disappointed white privilege.
Yes. I can recall. And joy. You.
That hat was a crime against humanity.
Glasses up.
Gents. little water for the whiskey.
A little. There. Now, was that not an impressive ad?
Yeah.
Get rid of this. I'm sorry you all couldn't hear it very well. That bothers me to no end. Hold on. Let me get back over here to the right spot and stop sharing my screen. Hold on. StreamYard sharing your hide. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Where is the... Not stop cam. Stop sharing. There we go.
Just change it.
Boom.
There you go. So
that.
So I would like to. Oh, that's right. You guys kept going on about, this. I got a bottle of this, and the other ones I got a bottle of that, and there's all this bottle measuring going on. So I thought I would.
You've got the biggest
bottle. The professor's got to whip out the big bottle.
The big bottle here. I've got my bottle of Canadian.
We already know who's got the biggest bottle here tonight. So,
but it's not the oldest.
share with you a couple of my rare ones that happen to be handy on the bookshelf in front of me, so it didn't take long to go get. But the first bottle is
La Trappe.
Oh, the famous Von Traps.
Yes, the family Von Trappe.
Known for singing in valleys.
Adieu, adieu, adieu. Is that what you
so
just said?
if you get
the bottle
if
of
you
this,
get to
Camel
the
45.
if you get to the Benelux, any of the countries in the Benelux, Belgium, Luxembourg, or Netherlands, the La Trappe is made by a bunch of monks over there. Okay?
Trappist monks, probably, since it's La Trappe.
And this stuff is truly a nectar of the gods. When I first had La Trappe on tap in the Hoorn, which is where my office was, just about 40 miles north of Amsterdam. All the places, the town that my office was in was 600 years old. Had all of the roads were the little
cobblestone. Yeah.
It had the all the buildings were built right next to each other, and the ones that had sunk or the ones that tilted just kind of leaned. I mean, it was just amazing. Well, they got all the you talk about amazing restaurants, and just the authentic shit that we only kind of mimic. So I'm in one of these bars, and it was one of the first times, and my hosts, my team, they worked for me. They were being introduced to their new boss. So they made sure I was taken care of and took me out. And I went to the best little 200-year-old restaurants in the Hoorn in Amsterdam. And they had this stuff on tap.
Mason jar or something there, Scotty. So when you say on tap, is that liquor, or is that like a brandy wine style ale or a beer?
So this is like more of a barley wine.
Barley wine, yeah. Okay.
Okay. But not anywhere near the potency not the potency, the flavor, the intensity of the flavor.
Right. Yeah.
Much. I mean, like I said, a nectar of the gods in that you take a sip of this and you go, what did I just drink?
So there's
your sip to check.
There's
what you just drank.
There's a
And
beer.
the next thing after two glasses, and we're talking about the European, more like a champagne glass in their beer.
Yeah, right.
All the beers have their own glass. That's where all that shit started.
Yeah.
You have two of those, and they have this is the Trappist ale, then they have the Duval and the Triple, which
so there's
are exactly what you would think they are. Two glasses of this stuff, and because you can't stop drinking it.
Right.
Literally, it's like getting that first water after some major workout or run or some dehydrative process.
Yeah.
And you go, oh my God.
So there's been two that have been like that for me. One of them, it's a beer. It's by Schneiderweisse.
Schneiderweisse
is the brand. It's Schneiderweisse's Tap 6 Unser Aventinus.
Schneiderweisse Tap 6 Unser Schneiderweisse? This is what I wear when I wear my little hosen.
Shot and say that again.
Say again? What was that?
I want to see you take a shot and say that again.
Okay.
Oh!
Jawohl.
It's the Schneiderweisse Tap 6 Unser Aventinus. It's amazing.
That was almost perfect, but I noticed a little indigestive exudation at the end that you didn't have on the first one. Now we know that some of those languages over there, they got all that extra hagen and hugen and
the hagen and
the hugen.
So which one of those was correct, Jason? Was it the first one without the digestive expulsion, or was it the second one?
Probably somewhere of a combination of the two.
By the way, Steph asks, what are you unpacking, Scotty? Well, several things. It's a box that sits next to my desk over here, and contained in there is a variation of what I consider to be not so top shelf scotches or whiskeys or blends. Well, but first of all, I do have a Glenlivet 15 is in there. I've always considered Glenlivet to be the top shelf of the lower rung of scotches.
So where do you place Glenfiddich?
Glenfiddich is somewhere slightly above the Glenlivet.
It depends. It depends on the age.
It depends on the age.
Barrels.
The
But
cask.
I'm going to resonate with you there, Mr. Scott.
Yes.
This.
Oops.
The feeling that and experience that I had with two single malts. I drank a lot of single malts before I found these two.
Okay.
And one of them, it was the Glenlivet 25. And they actually had one, they called it in Europe, Glenlivet Archive.
Oh.
This was the best of the 25s.
I will tell you.
A little bit of
My
cat daddy.
very favorite of single malt Highland scotches is Glenmorangie, or Morangi, as some say.
Morangi.
Morangi. I call it Glenmorangie. And I like the Glenmor. Oh, is that what you got right there? Oh.
Well, no, what I was going to say is if you like a good peated single malt Irish whiskey,
that's
Connemara.
Oh,
what
yes.
else are you going to get a good peated Irish?
Connemara is
Connemara.
excellent. That's right. Good crack.
That's right. But I do like a Glenmorangie. But you can tell it's my favorite because I don't have any.
Hey, gentlemen.
This Glenlivet 12, Steph, that I pulled out of that box.
The 12. Have you tried the Founders Reserve?
Yes, I have.
And then there's the 1894, I think.
Yes,
Founders?
I have.
1824.
Founders?
Like Founders
Trafalgar?
Founder.
No.
Founder?
Like you found
No, it's
Okay.
Wednesday.
Yes.
I'm thirsty
Founder.
too.
Okay.
I like I like a good Balvenie. I like a Balvenie double cask.
The 22-year-old.
Special reserve.
Oh my God! If there was ever any of those purists out there,
if it
that
starts
see
with
me
a Ben,
drop my
a Ben Glen Bal
balls in my glass of single
or Mac, I'll drink.
yeah, my balls. Those purists, okay. Every time I hear any of that shit, it's like, have you had a Balvenie 22? And they look at it, well, I've heard of it. No, it's okay. Next time you are offered some of that, I want to see you take it without any kind of cut. And I see a water on the side. I don't care. You didn't even have to be in the glass. I want to see you drink that shit straight.
So
and
like
then sit there and
turpentine?
go, okay,
Probably.
I'll have some more of that. Well, you will get to that point, but just not the way that you think. And you won't be able to taste anything for the rest of the evening.
What about Macallan, says Steph? That falls under the Mac header. Like I said, if it starts with a Ben Glen Bal Dal O or Mac, I'll drink it.
And gentlemen, to finish off my portion of the show and tell this evening.
That's Macallan. See right there, Macallan.
Oh, yeah.
So one of my more embarrassing moments, and
Hey, wait a minute, you're interrupting my show and tell.
you're right, I am.
Let me show and tell, and then I'll
It would
get out.
not be the three of us on here if somebody could not interrupt you.
Right.
because I have. We already know that we already know who has the biggest bottle tonight, and we also know that in spite
My whiskey. All right.
in spite of
Picking it up.
in spite of the foolery that we are clearly shall we say, erudite in the language of palate and consumption of the finer things.
Erudite is a good word.
Okay.
I'm a little rusty, but yes. Yeah.
I got to say, there's plenty of there's all kinds of snips in here that could be done for any one of these companies and sent to them as a commercial.
Oh.
Okay.
We have just
especially
created
for members
unwittingly,
because he's got the biggest bottle.
unwittingly created a dozen ads for these companies.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that alone is worth the time spent here. So I'm going to share the last one that I have handy.
All
My
right.
specialty bottle. My specialty bottle. That is like rare. Is like rare.
Vowels.
It's rarer than the rare of the rare, because there's only, I don't know if it's got a number. It's got a number on it. But this, and it's not my kind of drink, but it's branded.
Brandy.
Brandy.
Okay.
Branded.
Oh, branded.
Jason,
Branded.
stay on cue here. We're doing a commercial.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
We've all
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, I present you one of the rare collector items of wine.
This guy brings up a can of Coors. I'm going to lose my shit.
yeah, really.
With nostalgic tonality.
Oh,
and
it's Boone's Farm or
that
Thunderbird.
only you're fucking
Camel.
my that only could be appreciated by the experience of those that have experienced it.
Malort?
That's profound.
It makes you wonder if
You're awash in profundity.
it makes you wonder if the E's in the word be are silent. So
B doesn't have E's in it.
the E's in the word, the name B.
Easy.
What the hell am I drinking?
I'm like, what? There's no Z in B.
Dude, you're too close to Canada. You have problems understanding English. We understand this, but there are classes. Anyway, so here, my friends, is the one of the rare bottles that I have, and you'll only get it if you know it.
Okay.
Okay. That is not Malort.
Santana.
Did Carlos give that to you, or
is that Quetzalcoatl on the label?
You look at the artwork on there.
Yeah,
see the guitar?
It's a snake god, and it's Santana.
Is that like Santana, Carlos Santana's brand?
Santana brand. It is Santeria. It is
Sangria.
1996 premium California red wine. 1996, huh?
Is that from when he was doing stuff with Rob Thomas?
I think Rob Thomas was doing it back then. But anyway, I got that at the Santana concert.
Nice. Very nice.
That night.
So that
it's probably not that great of a wine.
That's like getting a bottle of red rum at the Stanley Hotel.
I have all of that. What is it in the wine? The sodium? No, those things. The phosphates.
No. The tannins. That's what triggers the migraine.
The
Sulfates. There we got around to it eventually.
That shit just I can drink an entire bottle of Glenlivet 18 in an evening. Drink till 4 a.m. Be on my flight at 6:30 a.m.
Oh,
it sounds goofy because it's one of the lower end ones, but it's like a bottle that I can kill very quickly in an evening without even realizing that I've gotten to the end of the bottle.
Inglenook?
No.
Sorry.
Stella Black.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not Stella Artois. That's the beer. But it's a wine. It's a red wine. And it was like the only one that my ex-girlfriend and I could actually like share a bottle with. Like, you know,
Okay.
he typically usually liked drier. I liked sweeter, but with Stella Rosa Black, it would for whatever reason it was just a good drink and wine. You know, like easy to drink. She would drink that even though she liked the drier stuff. So yeah, I always used to keep bottles of that.
See that whole thing with wine. I like I said, I can drink a whole bottle of 18 Glenlivet and go 4 in the morning and be at in my seat on the plane by 6:30, and
I don't
still
think I could do that.
the rest of the day. But if I drink the same amount of wine,
You're fucked up.
I'm gonna miss that flight. I'm gonna exceed my checkout limit, and I'm gonna be hauled. They're gonna be bringing in people trying to go. Do we need to paddle him? Is conscious? Should we just hit the electrical thing here? Get
Clear.
I tell kids
I'm not giving that
nowadays.
son of a bitch mouth to mouth. No.
I tell kids nowadays, do you know how to date me? You know how old I am. I remember the days I could walk in drunk 2 minutes before they shut the door and go right to the concourse without security and walk onto the plane.
Right. Yeah.
So, I've got a little story. I had my ex-wife.
I remember bringing a combat knife through security.
The mother of my 3 older children. I was gone in, God, it's a long time ago, 1994. I was
You learned how to roll the high score on Galaga?
Association. And she met me at the gate, which you could do back in 1994, pre-9/11. And she met me. It was July and hot, and she was wearing white high heels and some kind of white.
Hold on, stop. I gotta stop you right there, Scotty. This is starting to sound like a Whitesnake music video.
Wait, it almost was.
You didn't need to go there.
She had on a trench coat.
Oh shit!
And I'm like,
oh, there you go. You did
what
it, Jason.
I said, isn't it hot out? You're wearing a trench coat. And so the funniest part, she had our twin daughters who were 2 in a red, what was the brand? The red wagon.
Radio Flyer.
Radio Flyer wagon.
Yep.
That she's pulling behind her. So she's wearing white heels, white leggings, stockings, silk stockings, a light tan trench coat. She had blonde hair and it was all done up and she had some kind of neck thing on. And I'm like, wow. And she said, I said, it's kind of hot. And she had, by the way, the trench coat all buttoned up to the neck.
Uh-huh.
And I said, inquiring minds want to know what's beneath the trench coat. And she said, well, she just stepped aside into one of the little nooks at the airport concourse and just, and I was like, hello, let's go home. And so that's just
with the kids there. Oh my God!
She didn't show the kids. She had on white. It was white. It was not.
I was right though. I was right there though, wasn't I?
Lingerie.
Starting to sound like a Whitesnake music video.
It was a Whitesnake video. I was living a Whitesnake video. Did she walk over into the splits on the hood? No splits on the hood, Steph. So, anybody have an answer for John here? Do you want to know how to roll the high score on Galaga?
I don't even know what that is.
It's
you don't know what Galaga is? That's the game from these guys.
How do you score? How do you roll that high score, John?
Galaga was another Space Invaders. Like they were all, same game, different packaging.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, I lost my virginity on Space Invaders with those rolls of quarters. And and there was
I'll never look at Space Invaders the same way again.
There was
I wonder I could just say I wonder
time to put this away.
This was the point where he lost his virginity. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I think the rails have been crossed.
They have. And I got to tell you, as much as I hate to, I'm going to have to soon wrap this. I am in severe pain right now. I've got something going on. I did something weird yesterday.
Medicating for the last hour. What are you doing?
I know, and it's not working.
You're not drinking enough if you're in severe pain.
That's it. I fear if I drink enough to eradicate the pain, I won't be able to get up in the morning.
Still good.
But, which could be a good thing. But
the thing that you can't ignore.
Oh, I gotta stop. I got a cardiac stress test tomorrow.
Oh,
I this like 4 hours ago.
They're gonna be looking at that chart going, Mr. Roberts.
You realize, Prof, we are the worst best friends, right? That's exactly what we are right now. That is,
you guys suck. Oh, the pain?
Scotty, why didn't you say something?
I wasn't thinking about it.
We never would have let it gotten to this.
I never would have let it get to this. I was gonna I wanted to keep going, but the pain in my back is hurting, which I've never had. I've never had this particular pain, but it's that made me think. Oh my God, I'm supposed to not drink anything like caffeinated or 12 hours before the.
Caffeinated.
I don't know. They didn't particularly say single malt Highland Scotch. So
right.
I might be good.
They just said don't drink anything caffeinated, right? That's what they told you?
Caffeinated specifically.
God, I thought we'd killed Scotty. Okay. Woo. All right, we're good.
They have to pump me full of the radioactive drugs tomorrow to watch my heart and stuff.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting
4 hours. About a 4-hour thing.
That looks like on the monitor.
Yeah.
Gonna go ahead and pour
doing weird things.
Shit and some sine waves they've never seen before.
But my back, I did something last night. I was in the car. We were going to the basketball game because my 9-year-old was with her little grade school cheerleading squad. They brought him in to do the halftime. So high school basketball game. And I'm in the car and I do something. I stretch around. I'm reaching to put my buckle on or something. I'm riding. Rainey's driving. And I did something about where my kidney is on my left.
I'm really trying hard not to say it.
What are you trying hard not to say?
You threw your back out putting on your seatbelt.
Yes. You're old when.
That's almost
what
like.
What the hell did you do to your back? I was putting on my seatbelt.
That's right.
I don't know. I got up off the couch.
Well, that's right up with it. That's right
slowly
up there.
Even I was getting up slowly.
Well, the thing is, that's right up there with how did you hurt your back? Well, I thought it was a fart.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, I got to tell you, not to reveal intimate secrets, but since our audience is lower at this time of night, not that this is recorded for all posterity.
Lower in numbers or lower in character?
Wait a minute. You mean we're here for other people other than ourselves?
Yes. Well, when you get to be my age or your age, Professor, Jason, you're not far behind us, so don't laugh too deeply. But there are times where
I can do because I know it's coming.
I got to tell you, there's times like I used to be able to reach my ass. When you drop some Duke, you lay some pipe, and you go for the cleaning effect.
No, that's not what laying pipe is, Scotty. You
that's a different kind of pipe.
A perfect example of the mangled manipulation
of the English language. Yeah.
Cut him off. He's had too much.
But
I mean, come on.
It's the reach around. It's the reach around to clean yourself. And suddenly it's become a contorted, Kathy Rigby, where are you? Are you in the house? That dates me too. But it's like I've got to go do Tai Chi or something in the morning to be able to reach my ass when I poo.
Well,
because it's like...
Whoa. Okay. All right, we got the visual, Scotty. Can we back up a little bit, please?
No, I'm not done.
There's something I don't understand. I need clarification on your use of some terms, because in the context of the story that you're sharing, I have a different visual than what I think you're trying to communicate.
It's
So
okay. What's your visual?
So no, I don't want to go to the visual. I just to clarify the term, the visual will get fixed. So you started off with the reach around.
Wrap around, says Steph. You gotta stay limber.
Now, when I was growing up, reach around had a certain connotation.
Oh, it still does.
And it didn't have anything to do with any kind of fecal experiment or.
Well, I mean, it
had
kind of.
Yeah,
It all depended, yeah.
But mostly, it was the opposite side of the image.
Sarah is here.
What's
hey, Sarah? Sarah, you should call in.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'd like to apologize for the content of the show this evening.
The management does not. The opinions expressed and the actions taken do not necessarily reflect those.
I feel like we need the Monty Python placard that comes up. Yeah.
Yes. Hey, by the way, has anybody ever tried this? It's something. I think I took a sip of this and said, "That's kind of swilly." It's 4 Roses single barrel. Hold on. This goes along with the getting cramps after you drop some Duke.
Jesus. we
I don't have popcorn.
Kentucky. This is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, 4 Roses. It is I can't read it. Aged by 4 Roses Distillery. Oh, okay. That's all that says. So 4 Roses Distillery. Perhaps there's something on the little hang card, which I've kept on it. This was a gift. It's 4 Roses single barrel. It's a bourbon. It's a Kentucky bourbon. And this was given to me at a Paradigm Symposium when I used to throw those. And a very fetching woman was there with her husband. And she gave me this bottle. This is a gift for you for putting on this bottle. Well, thank you. And I think I've only had...
I need to do more things to get free liquor in my life. I don't know how. What am I doing wrong?
You got to start throwing your own birthday parties.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Steve, who used to frequent our chat room, sent me this. It's a Gatlinburg, Tennessee blueberry moonshine.
Oh, now you said that was in Gatlinburg. Does it say whether it was bottled in mid-July and the guy who did the bottling, his throat was dry?
Mid-July, dry throat.
You know,
there in the small print.
You know, Jason.
That there was the son of a bitch that named me Sue.
Yes, Jason. That's an example of the inquiring mind of a connoisseur of the information that you were talking about. I mean, seriously. If the only reason you would know to ask that question
is if I'd listened to Johnny Cash, right? Yeah, no, I get it.
Was if you knew, right? Because what you know influences the questions you ask. For example, for example, we started this evening. Well, you started this evening. I interrupted your evening.
Yeah,
you did.
With a technical, toxicological temperament of content and suggestion. I said, "Hey, I haven't had a drink. I stopped drinking just over a year and a half ago.
I stopped drinking about a year and a half ago.
And now you're drinking. Now we're contributing you to your research into delinquency.
Delinquency.
Yes. All of those.
Well, I would love to continue drinking, but I can't. I have heart tests in the morning. So
Well, that's
You
okay.
have
You
a
stopped.
that
So you're a designated driver.
yeah, that's it.
Designated host.
Oh my God.
Hey, what do you think this is doing for Scotty's viewers?
For my what?
For your
No,
viewers,
well,
have more people entered the chat now that the three of us?
Yeah, our chat is growing tonight.
Y'all see
Sarah,
Scotty
I'm glad you stopped
the
by.
professor
She said you
JP?
guys need carbs.
We need carbs.
Carbs. Yeah, there you go. Dot's homestyle pretzels. That'll do.
Yeah, honey mustard. They're good. That's carbs,
Yeah,
right?
dude. The fire in your eye on that one just said it all. Guys, there was a suggestion made. I think it was from Steph. We need to do a whiskey show at least once a week.
You you mean
I
like
was
the
gonna
one
say,
we
we
just
need to
did?
do this more often.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We should highly consider this. Steph will take it under advisement.
We'll get serious, guys. Get serious.
Well, I think that the idea of a
It can,
casual,
Sarah. I'm watching it.
a casual, non-scripted, non-directed, non-subjected discussion, free ball, if you will, we'll free ball it, but have
That's not low.
respectable, like this evening, I have to say, gentlemen, while we all have shared the best that we got, and we all know still who has the biggest bottle.
Professor Bauer.
You know, I feel like he's compensating for something.
I do too.
Because he
You
keeps
know,
going back
when you have to
who has
whip
the
out a
biggest
bottle that big,
when I know right here now, big bottle or not, I've got Everclear in the freezer.
Oh,
It doesn't matter how big your bottle is, Professor. That's 120 proof.
that doesn't freeze.
yeah, well, it doesn't freeze because it's antifreeze.
Pretty much.
But my point is this: I think we did a very fine impromptu job
That
of
was good for
sharing-
impromptu.
of sharing our proclivities
Yes.
and peccadillos in a respectful
I think we did.
and an enjoyable way.
Whoa.
I do.
Nobody whipped out any picadillos. We don't need to talk about that. This is
We
a
already
family
know
show.
who's got the biggest one.
Hey, I play oboe, not picadillo. So
It's not the size of the boat. It's the motion of the ocean, man. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
it's too damn cliche.
I've heard and used that for decades.
Hey, it might be short, but it's thin.
Power.
Well, there you go. Gentlemen,
That was good.
we used to add on to that, and it can get the job done faster than anybody you know. Keep
I
up.
had a friend who would say, "Hey, it's only 3 inches, but 3 inches at 90 miles an hour will still do a lot of damage."
I saw you type something like that last night. 2 inches at 95 miles an hour, you said, can still do a lot of damage.
The things that are uttered in a hot rod garage during a
my
rat rod
goodness.
build up.
Oh,
Oh my.
stomachers. Oh man.
I don't think I can even eat now. Damn it.
I'm disappointed we don't have Waffle House up here. Because now I want Waffle House.
Me too.
I've consumed alcohol. I need hash browns. Smothered, covered, and scattered.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nothing like smothered and covered at 1 a.m.
You know, they have a
Somebody just sent me this.
Some people.
Thank you, Sarah Bergovit.
Truth.
I mean, they're not wrong,
Yeah, I don't think there's.
but they have a scale of how bad a natural disaster is that's based off the Waffle House. Like, and it's a legit scale that like FEMA and shit like that uses. It's like
Yes.
if Waffle House is not open, it's bad. It is really bad, and because Waffle House will stay open, they'll have generators brought out. They'll do things. They will stay open, even
I
like
think,
in the middle
I
of
think
disaster.
in some places, in some jurisdictions, they are designated emergency shelters that the police immediately take over.
Right.
I mean, I got to
fight. They have to fight that one line cook lady that caught that chair that was thrown at her.
I got to think. I got
One-handed.
to think that Dunkin' Donuts has got a gig with the government.
Good night, Sarah Yusuf.
Night, Sarah.
She exited.
Good night, Sarah.
Take care and be safe, everyone. I got a long drive. To the
I
other
don't.
room.
It's just down the stairs to my bed, so it's not. I'm fine.
Mine's on the same floor. Thank God, through the door. Sarah
You
Dippity.
guys are sounding like a couple of young rookies.
Oh no!
You're sounding like I'm hearing a little bit of whining, a little bit of moaning, a little bit of complaining.
Yeah.
And it's just
But I do know it's going to be hard to get up and out of bed in the morning.
and just a sprinkle of bitching. There's a little bit of girly going on here, and I'm going to have to call you out on it because we are not girls,
Dude,
we are men.
dude, will you stop trying to find excuses to talk about the size of your bottle of Canadian whiskey?
Who's got the
Yes.
biggest bottle? Takes a lot of tea to have the big bottle.
It does. It does.
And I'm not talking about bottles with blue pills in it. I'm talking about bottles with the golden nectar of a honey-colored liquid that is from the gods. Something that will take
Ginseng and a honey base?
something will transform you into the realm of having a conscious experience
Where'd it go?
with the heavenly bodies.
Where is tonight's show?
That's got to be
Oh, there it is.
like, are you sure you're not drinking like iced tea and Everclear over there?
Maybe.
No,
don't
professor.
Did we cancel ourselves, Scotty?
No. Sorry, I was looking in the wrong place.
I was going to say, I mean, getting canceled on a live stream, that's, you're starting to get some cred when you get that going on.
Yes.
That's how you get internet famous.
Is that what that is?
Have you guys, I know that you've noticed, but I have to ask. Have you guys noticed that every time something is denied, dismissed, suppressed, canceled, taken off and all that, any of it, all of it, from the food industry to the entertainment industry to the news to even now the judicial, but particularly in the news or the legacy data stream media.
What, the Tyrese post about it?
Being replaced by the alternative. Do you guys notice that that the volume and velocity of the crap is kind of getting shifted over to one side, and there's this whole other stream of information that is pushing it out of the way, moving it over. It's like kind of like a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible drag scene where they're going down the streets of Monaco and he's coming up against the villain and pushing him off into the bay. It seems to be that kind of thing going on. And I am not only am I seeing more and more of it, but I'm seeing the content of it be something that is enjoyable to watch. It's because that it seems to me, at least in my limited, screwed up opinion and perspective, is that the stuff that's been out there has just been a bunch of hooey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the stuff and that hooey has become so blatant in its application thereof it's getting spread everywhere. It's like somebody got a big old jar of Jiffy and just stuck the knife in there and is spreading that shit everywhere.
Thanks for sharing, Steph.
Yeah. Steph, we appreciate that. It brings a tear to my jaded eye.
I think it may have created the makings of a new show.
We may have my friend Sarah. There she is, Sarah Bergovit. Jiffy, she asks.
Peanut butter?
There it is. There it is. And Nutella.
I was gonna say, are we talking about peanut butter or are we talking about the oil change place? Because this could go a couple of different directions.
Yeah, that's got a whole different
double
connotation.
meanings and entendres that I was trying to get clarification from Scotty on earlier when he said, reach around. Can we all come back?
Reach around.
Reach
It's a different connotation. It had to do with something completely different.
I think
You know,
I personally,
we're
I'm
going to reach around to our previous topic.
Yes.
personally, I'm a big fan of reach around. Okay. And it's something that I not only enjoy.
Sarah arrived at the perfect time. This is my old friend, not old friend, my friend of old times, Sarah Bergovit from the festival. So
greetings, Sarah.
Joined us.
Thanks,
Hello, Sarah.
Sarah, you wondered what
Thank you for joining us
what
this
we were
evening.
drinking. She asked me in private chat, "What are you drinking over there?" And I said, "Well, here, let me show you."
Now we're writing up
got a little bit
immaturity
of
and
this.
alcohol.
And a little bit of this. And then, of course, there's a little bit of this.
Little Glenn living by my side.
And a little bit of this, a little special stuff. Oh, yes, and there's Woodford Reserve, Kentucky. And we've got, of course, some moonshine. And a little bit of, this is great. This is a Macallan single malt Highland Scotch amber liqueur. Oh, you got Everclear. Oh, my God. Oh, and then we got a little something I haven't even mentioned yet.
I pour a little in the gas tank to thin out the mix.
Yeah, really. That'll keep your gas tank. You know they've got, what do they call that? Neat or heat that you put in your gas tank.
Right. Yeah.
Tomatin. I've never tried this one.
Good for another 150 RPMs.
This was opened at one of my birthday parties, probably my 40th. So
Which one is that?
Means this is a 23-year-old bottle of 12-year single malt Highland Scotch.
By who?
Tomatin.
Now you got to remember, Scotty. Once it's bottled, it is always whatever the year it was bottled at.
It's a 12-year. It's a 23-year-old 12-year.
It's still a 12-year.
It's still a 12-year. But it's 23-year-old 12-year.
Like wine. It's not like wine. It doesn't age in the bottle.
Sarah said,
I'm not gonna. No.
Sarah said, "Don't encourage them, Steph." Sarah's a dear friend.
Now.
Sarah is somebody who was a hottie back then. She's a hottie now, and
I'm so glad you came back around with that part of the statement, because you could have been in a lot of trouble and we could have witnessed a murder.
Could have.
Well,
he was a hottie way back when.
And on that topic, gentlemen, I'd like to ask a question.
Ask it away.
Two esteemed, above average looking guys. I'm telling we have to admit, there are people that look good and people that don't. And we are not in that second category. Okay. So having said that, I got to ask you, as we've all had multiple relationships over decades.
Oh, this is
different types of people. And I'm talking specifically about the estrogen mammalian.
Okay.
We figured that's where you were going with it. So at least I did.
Mammalian. Well, let's make sure.
So I remember
this. Mammalian.
Mammalian, is that like lizard people or?
It's similar.
Okay.
However you'd like to take it. but we've had all these different experiences, and I've been getting a lot of notifications from my Outlook or my OneDrive on this day 20 years ago for whatever pictures, and so I get a lot of historical shit that I look at and I go, fuck, I forgot all about that. and I see not only me, but more. There's not that much of me. Is more of the people I knew, my family, friends, and all that, school and so forth.
Yes,
and
sir.
I can tell you,
like
when you look
The
back,
hotter, the better. Yeah, right.
Right.
Gentlemen. Gentlemen.
So I have not only seen but had relationships with some of the hottest women I've ever seen in my life.
Now wait. Let's qualify this. Is this drunk talk?
That's actually
I have had
qualifying that
relationships.
statement is probably a good idea. Yeah.
I want you to know, I've had relationships with some of the hottest women
I don't remember
I've
having
ever
any
known.
of this kind of diction or linguistic or even loquacious issue. Okay.
You're loquacious.
So if you're trying to get in my pants, it's not going to happen.
That's good to know.
I'm talking about the reach around now.
Fire, write that down in the book.
So anyway, let me try to recover this. So I've noticed, and I think that you gentlemen have as well, that when you think about the relationships you've had over the decades that you've had,
down.
each relationship in whatever time period, the woman you were with was the hottest woman you could around.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You had that sense that there are some other people that are good looking, other women in different ways, but you are the hottest. You are the most beautiful. You are the one that I want to be with.
I would be the most beautiful woman in the room.
Right?
I'm very flattered, Professor. But
look at us both. We have our hands on our
not my thing.
I'm
sorry.
very
all right, you verklempt vasectomy bullshitters. All right, here we go.
Did he just say verklempt?
I think he did.
Okay, all right.
Just a little disclaimer here before the professor goes further. A little disclaimer: the show ended a long time. This is the post show. The let your hair down. The captain's cabin.
That's this is
like the post. This
is the post show. We've gone about an hour overtime here, so we're not on air anymore. We're just broadcasting.
So, can I finish my point and question?
There you go.
All right, Ross Perot, go ahead, finish.
Finish your point.
So we've all had multiple relationships over decades of different women, and each one that we were with at the time was the hottest one that was available, that you and that you wanted to be with, right?
Sure.
Well, I got a question. The older I've gotten, as incredibly beautiful as these women that are 2-3 times younger than I am, the older women, the women my age, the ones that are older and more experienced and seasoned, are the hottest ones on the planet.
Okay. Well, that's
a gray-haired woman in particular, one that's just gone all gray, and she got that whole who she is and knowing that going on. I mean, it's like
too much. You just did the lip loop thing.
Chemically alters your ability to think with any kind of reason and logic, and completely stimulates your entire nervous system, flowing with hormones of emotion and desire.
Is this the gray-haired lovely lady that's doing this to you, or is this the giant bottle of Canadian whiskey?
Show us your bottle again, Professor. Yeah. We're so envious of your bottle of Canadian whiskey.
You mean this one?
You mean this little old thing?
Let me hold it up next to my head.
For scale.
Oh, man.
For scale, ladies.
For scale.
So,
you know what? You may have like a really big head or a really small head. Do you have a dollar bill or like a quarter or something? We can.
Yeah.
A known measurement.
Yeah. It's generally about this big.
Somebody holds up a rocks glass. Yeah, that helps.
That helps. Yeah. There you go.
It's not a mug. It's a mug.
You're
To be
coming
honest,
into your
Mr. Wing,
crone stage.
We apologize. We're sorry, but also not sorry.
Now,
I'm
speak for
sorry,
yourself.
but I make no apologies.
Right.
So, well, guys, as much as I love the reverie, I have some big tests in the morning,
Yes, and you have to study for them.
and I have to study for them.
Yes.
Drink
There's
water.
a urine test, and there's a. I think I can study for that one pretty well.
Well, and to be honest, Scotty, we do not want to be responsible for any of your potentially negative outcomes simply because you were having.
Say no more. Nobody is
If-
responsible
if
for my
you-
actions other than
If
me.
any of this caused you anything other than a positive experience tomorrow,
Clearly, though, we're being a bad
It wasn't-
influence.
Oh,
then it wasn't worth it.
Clearly.
However, I suspect that
I simply
joy,
forgot that I had
merriment-
these tests tomorrow.
the-
The worst
no, I
case scenario,
suspect-
what are they going to tell me? You have too much alcohol in your blood. You can't do the test today. You know, I think it's 12 hours I was supposed to not have caffeine or sugar or something. And it's at
Well, apparently
7:45.
it's-
I have to be there, 8 o'clock. So.
Apparently, it's not that important because you can't remember it.
Thanks, Mom. Oh, it must
Definitely
not
it.
be that important to you that you forgot. I'm sorry, Mom.
I've heard that a time or two.
Yeah, so have I.
I've been
Parent
waiting to
program
use that all day. Thank
What
you
was
for
the
the
old Steve Martin line from a very long time ago? His comedy. He said, "You know how, you try to say something and you forget, and everybody goes. Your mom would say, 'Oh, must not have been too important.'" He says, "I always just came back. Oh, I remember, Mom. I'm radioactive," and it got him huge laughs. That was a joke from the late 70s, early 80s. I remember, Mom. Now
I'm radioactive.
I'm radioactive. With an arrow through his head.
start
Yeah.
glowing and shit.
That's it. So, but yes, I do have to. Wow, this array is something here. Let me, this. It's all my desk. is
Good
in
Lord, man.
Good Lord, man, what have you been up to? Good Lord, man, that's inhuman. That's inhuman.
Well,
That's a
Scotty,
lot of
that's an impressive lineup, and
Why, thank you.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have the sense of being able to shoot more than once because you got multiple options,
That's
and
right.
and that's something that it's worthy of consideration. However, when you have the biggest bottle.
You gotta just show us up again and whip that bottle out, don't you?
You don't need a bunch of little bottles.
That's it. You know what? Tomorrow after work, I'm going to class 6. I'm picking up a jug of military
There it
special.
is.
And then I'm just going to wait until Friday. I'm going to sit there waiting. Oh, the professor's on.
Steph, what do I have to explain to Rainey? Yeah, whenever the professor comes on, right during one of his eschatologically, Antiochus Epiphaneval kind of I'm going to talk about this, the metaphysics with the metaphor and the blah blah, or you've been flabbing with the grap, and we'll just sit in the background. We'll just go. Well, you got to take that matrix into consideration, and the metric in the matrix, and you got to,
You got
But the cosmic rays that are floating through.
Scotty, that is a commercial shot right there. And you guys got to remember,
It's certainly.
I mean, we got some serious shit we can monetize here by selling some commercials.
Oh man.
So
I think right now we are a marketing godsend.
No, we're really not.
Or maybe not. Did you say?
depends on the audience. You'd
fair.
be surprised how many people.
Well, we aim for the
crap.
sophisticated
Take a break.
audience, of course, and so I'm sorry I took off my tie and my waistcoat earlier, but
I've got a new waistcoat coming in tomorrow, Friday.
oh, very
Friday,
nice.
Tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Very
gentlemen,
Blue one.
gentlemen,
Ladies, he's not
Just-
gay.
just so you
Not
know,
that
on-
matters, but he is a clothes horse.
just so you know, on the waistcoat issue, I got me a new waistcoat today.
Look at this one. Look at this one I got.
Your new
This
waistcoat.
is the little sister to the other one.
You know, for all the concepts he talks about, Scotty, and all the crazy knowledge and things like that, I'm a little worried because he's conflating a
Yes.
bottle of cheap Canadian whiskey from Sam's Club with a waistcoat. I'm a little worried. I'm a
I
little
am too.
worried.
I am too.
Well, just for disclaimer and full disclosure purposes, I am doing research.
Oh. Okay. All right. On bottle sizes or and the senses of masculinity and or
I'm researching that which is there to research.
that works
You
too.
are.
Because out there for research there is a lot to research. It is an open, target-rich environment, and when one puts the scope
He's slurring, Jason. He's slurring.
and peeks out across the horizon and sees the perihelion of the object that is approaching, all of a sudden one goes, "Didn't see that coming."
Okay. Didn't
I'm
say
just
that
saying.
one. Didn't say that
I'm
one.
just saying that research. Everyone must research.
Tonight's episode of Drug Philosophers
read.
Science
That's
is
right.
brought to you by
Research.
And remember, you're good enough. You're smart enough.
Smart
And
enough,
doggone
gosh
it,
darn
people
it.
like
people
you.
like you. And now,
Are
for
you
Deep
quoting
Thoughts
Top
by
Gun?
Jack Handy.
Sarah wants to know.
Yeah, I think he was quoting Top Gun because that's what I
Top Gun, Sarah.
target rich environment.
Environment. Yes. So well, we've got to wrap this frivolity and put an end to this.
Yes.
It's not really lascivious concupiscence. It's mild concupiscence.
Shit, now I gotta find my dictionary.
It was
And,
kind of lewd, loquacious linguistics,
no.
or ludicious.
I will argue that it was cunning linguistics.
Oh, boom!
Oh, cliche. What that was I didn't mean that as an insult. If you took it that way, and I didn't. But
I didn't mean it the way that you took it.
we have to do the
However-
parting glass. We should sing that. All of us together. We should sing that.
Oh, you know it. But I would
my
love to.
son.
I can't
Jason, you start
remember
us off.
anything. What?
You start us off
Start us off with what?
singing the parting glass.
Oh,
Right.
So we're going to
So-
call this show. We're going to wrap it.
So, Scotty, Jason and
Yes.
I know the song, but we don't know the words or the tune. I'd like to make the following suggestion. I'd like to posit this possibility of potential. We learn the song, and when we do this spontaneous, lovely time of sharing
Yes.
improvised consumption of spirits, because
the fact that people are just watching us be ridiculous and drink. Sorry.
so because you know that alcohol are called spirits for a reason,
The aquavit.
right?
Oh, is that so?
So I would actually
the angel's share and the devil's cut.
Oh, you almost sounded accountant like that. I'm here not to drink. I'm here to take the devil's share in a cup. Here's my cup. I'm here for the devil's share. I doff me hat.
The year was 39. This guy was full of lead. Hitler was heading for Poland and Patty for Holyhead.
Oh, yes.
So anyway, as I was trying to wrap this up for you, Scotty, because
I'm trying to wrap it up.
I know that even
I'm
though
along for the ride.
people like me are the target of your
I'm here.
excuses
I'm gone
for
when you're gone. I'm
going
here.
long and having all these extra conversations that seem to go wherever, and it's like all of a sudden it's 4 hours later, it's all professor's fault.
Mhm.
Okay, I get that and I own that.
All the
I
professors-
like
you-
him
you,
being
my
the reason
friend.
the fault. Instead of
You,
me,
my-
I like that. I can get behind that.
my
I
friend.
stand behind that with full-throated vigor.
But you, my friend,
Whoa.
have owned it of late. I'd say for at least almost the last year. You have taken over that crown. You have sat your ass on
Thank
that
you.
throne, and you have squarely planted, intendedly, crown on your head.
Wait, are you talking to
The
Scotty or
block,
are you talking to
the
me?
block that you have placed that crown on fits perfectly. You have owned the extendedness of foolishness and fuckery. You have
Thank you.
all of this. You're gonna blame this on me. You're gonna blame
I
this on me
strive
because
for that.
came in late, and I showed up kind of somewhere else, and I was drinking.
I want to thank the Academy,
Saying it should be,
and I want to thank
well,
the professor
we were doing fine about to
for
close this
the
shit
fine
down
words of
until
my.
the prof showed up drinking, and then
We
it
were
all
good
went
until you
shit.
got here.
And you know what? I'll own that. And and you know what? I want to do this again.
I do too. And I think we should, with the way we should structure the format of the show, we should begin sober. And we should begin with
Just like we did tonight.
Right.
talking quantumly about something. And then we will raise a glass.
Or coming in with quotes from the Gipper.
Yeah, well. He told
Barbara
me to
poured
go
me a glass
long.
of whiskey.
Mother said to go long.
Ask not what you can do for your booze.
But ask what your booze can do for
do for
you.
you.
Sarah, you are welcome here anytime. As a matter of fact, you need to call into this show and be one of the squares here.
Why? Why does nobody want to play the was it Celebrity Squares? What was that TV show?
Celebrity Squares.
Hollywood
Yeah, Celebrity Squares. Yeah. Why does nobody want to do
Hollywood Squares.
I don't
that?
know.
Hollywood Squares.
Hollywood
There you go. It's
I
all
will
really
invite you
famous.
again, Sarah.
Where's Niall?
and the thing
Where's
is,
Niall?
so yeah, that he'd be.
Oh, Niall would be great to bring in here. It's what
But
is it
here-
over there in
let's
Ireland?
go
It's
back
like
to what you were
5:30
saying
in the morning
Scotty.
right now.
Scotty, let's go back to what you're saying about the format. We should do it starting sober, just like we did tonight,
Just
or
like
at
we did
least
tonight.
yeah, until
Well,
I
at least
shoot.
Jason and I did.
And we will go
You came in
through,
with your big.
and yeah, we'll just have
Slapping
to,
his big bottle down on the table.
as
Yeah.
needed. We'll measure bottles at the beginning, but what we should do is say, okay, here is my drink for the evening, and just like we kind of did tonight, same fucking thing, except Jason doesn't need to bring out his fucking booze cellar.
Were you
line it all up?
feeling intimidated? Is that what? Were you?
Yeah, because that alone, Jason, you got to.
And his fucking tie and waistcoat pretentious bullshit.
You
Were
got to
you feeling like
Jason,
your
that when you-
masculinity was threatened because of my whiskey collection?
Yes.
Is this
Well,
something
no,
we
you got to
need to
admit that
explore
when somebody pulls that out, it's like, okay, here's my
Here's the
garage.
the
Porsche,
professor may
my
have the biggest,
Mercedes, and my.
but Jason has the most. He's got variety.
I have
Hey.
the most and variety.
That's right.
Do you really have the most?
See, look, he's got to use both hands for that.
That's a
See,
two-hander, gentlemen.
I can go. Well, I got the four
The
roses.
bottle's like
here.
a chose,
then I got
man.
the
It's
Woodbridge
bigger around
here.
than it is tall.
So I had basically three middle nicknames when I was growing up, and in my teens when I was getting out in the world and finding out about the wits and music and all those other creative additional essences and substances that enhance the experience. So one of my nicknames was Too Big to Eat. which was you ever see the Burger King with Rodney Allen Rippey? The Whopper. The Whopper commercials back in the 70s was Rodney Allen Rippey, a little black kid. And
Where's the beef?
No, that was
the old ladies.
later. That was later.
Where's that beef?
But he had this
in.
Whopper, and he just look at whoever it was and go, "It's too big to eat.
Too big to eat.
Too big to eat." Now, so that was one of my nicknames.
I heard that from an ex-girlfriend once.
Another one, the other, and it was again from Burger King. One of their just brilliant. If you're into marketing, Scotty, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
In particular, because of what you do. So marketing, you're always trying to find the image, the angle that's going to create some kind of interest and resonance with people, and are going to want to know more. So it's always about the persuasive nature of that. So, the other one that Burger King had was it takes two hands to handle a Whopper. Do you remember that?
Oh, we used that so much in high school.
Right. So that was
there was also hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way.
Ooh, damn! There's
or 2 all beef patties, special sauce, cheese, lettuce, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. That was the Big Mac.
Do you remember when you would go to McDonald's and you could get the record?
Yes.
And if they sang the whole song the whole way through, you won like $1 million or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that. I remember those days. I also remember and it had a guy in a cravat and a red velvet smoking jacket on. And he had a cheeseburger and fries and a Coke. And he was talking like this, and he says, the only way I've made all my money, is being frugal my whole life, and blah, 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 miserly. And he says, come and to McDonald's, get your cheeseburger, your fry, and your Coke, and change back from your dollar. And he'd drop a nickel on the table. Ting, 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 and it tinged because it was made out of real metal back then. But less than $1, 95 cents to get cheeseburger, fries, and a Coke.
I remember being able to get like a bacon, egg, and cheese McMuffin and a hash brown and an orange juice in the morning before school because the Catholic high school I was going to had a McDonald's right next to it. Mom would drop me off at the McDonald's. They didn't have busing, and I would go in there, and it was like $1 or something like that.
Yeah,
and just be like, I'm gonna go over and I got my muffin. This is great. Best thing ever.
My daughter and I took her to an appointment the other day, and we stopped and we got the rare McDonald's treat. We don't do McDonald's here anymore, but we got the rare McDonald's treat, and it was approximately $9.88 per person. So we ended up spending almost $20, just a few cents shy of $20 for 2 cheeseburgers, fries.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you go on a fiat currency system.
That's right. Thank you. And thank you for wrapping it up this evening. We've come full circle now.
Oh, man, I made this whole sign. I thought the professor was going to start talking again. So I was...
Help the professor is holding hostage.
I was just going to...
Help. It's a cry for help. All right, you fine gentlemen. I'm going to let you go because I'm going to go.
Yes.
So, Professor, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing your date. She's a little big boned, but I think it'll be okay. All right, Professor.
Don't flip a disc carrying that thing around.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
you can put that one in a brown lunch sack.
Let's do it again.
We'll do it again.
Absolutely.
Professor, talk to you later. Have a good night. Jason, brother,
yes, sir.
Good to have you as always.
Love to be here, as always.
And
that sounded like a news anchor.
Say other than I really have to urinate. So,
well,
so I'm going to wrap this show pretty quick now. Pretty quick, like. All right, brother.
Take her easy.
I'll see you soon. All right, and everybody else, thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of this little bit of tomfoolery at the end, the captain's cabin. Thanks for being here for the radio show a bit earlier this evening. And 2 hours of the captain's cabin. That was kind of fun. Actually, 2 hours and 36 minutes of the captain's cabin. That's almost a record tonight. We'll do this again on a Friday night when we don't have tests in the morning. So wish me well on my cardiac stress test tomorrow. Hopefully they won't over radiate me with chemicals. They have to do that. They radiate you now. So they don't always want you to get up and actually do the exercise now and hook everything up to you. They pump you full of radiated chemicals that make your heart act like you've just run a marathon. And it's like, and they would just want to test you. So that's what I got to do tomorrow. It's going to take about 4 hours or so. So thank you. Oh, what? Oh, I'll talk to you in a minute, Sarah. Hang on. Okay. All right. Guys, we got to go. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And as always, we will see you next time. And in the meantime, all I can tell you is live long and prosper.